Is this thing on?
To another episode of Spooled Life Live. I'm your host, Ram Garcia, and we are in the beautiful Roy's Bait and Tackle studio where we have Corpus Christi Police Department in the house, ready to go at a moment's notice, right? We are super packed here at Roy's Bait and Tackle, almost to the point where if you are here at the end of the hour or at the beginning of the hour, there's pretty much standing room, not even standing room.
There's standing room in the
Only.
parking lot.
Yeah, you better be across SPID if you're looking for a parking space.
Yeah, we
Right.
parked out in a field.
Yeah, but we do have carts, right? We have carts to go pick you up, save the walk, right? If you haven't checked it out, I mean, it's all over Facebook. It's all over Channel 10. I'm sure it's all over Channel 28. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary here at Roy's Bait and Tackle, where we are giving away almost everything in the store. And if we're not giving it away, we're giving a huge percentage off of it, right? So cruise on in. We have kayaks that we're giving away. We have fishing reels. We have fishing rods. We got lures. And these giveaways are shout out to CCPD in the house, cruising on in, right? just in case he wants to be live on Facebook, right?
Undercover.
And it got me nervous for a little bit right there. I was like, man, I wonder if he protecting Raw. I hope he's not looking for warrants or anything up here.
Like, sir.
Right? Hey, we check your driver's and your license and registration there real quick before y'all hit that live button. Right? Those giveaways are for Roy's Bait and Tackle, but we have our own giveaways going on here at Spooled Life Live. And guess what? Not only is it Roy's Bait and Tackle's 50th anniversary, it is our 50th episode. So that's something to be excited about as well. So we have some, man, guys, when I show you all these giveaways, right now what I'm looking at as far as giveaways, we have AM fishing lures that we're giving away. We're going to give away 5 to 7 packs each, right? Assorted colors, assorted garlicky goodness, right? I'm seeing caps. I'm seeing stringers. I'm seeing some Yeti cups. I'm seeing some Wrap Stack 3700 Rapala tackle.
Oh, wow. It's
tackle
loaded
bins,
up, too.
loaded up with some Rapala baits, hard baits, right? Diving baits, top waters, stuff like that. And also some caps, right? Some Roy's Bait and Tackle caps. All right, I want to give a shout out to my headline sponsors real quick. Roy's Bait and Tackle, of course. Sarge Custom Rods, Forever Last Gear, Sims Fishing Gear, which is also in the house. We have a Sims rep here to answer all your Sims needs. You know, whether a size doesn't fit you just right. You know, you just bought a pair of waders and, you know, the feet are one of them size 6 and one of them size 10, or, you know, your feet are kind of funky, you know, something around that nature. We got him in the house to answer all those questions. JRZ Lures, Z Pro Lithium, Stinky Pants Fishing, the Coke Law Firm, Cito Corpus Christi, and Carbach Brewery, keeping us nice and fresh, right? Nice and Did that police officer take off? Because I don't want to open this. That's always I get nervous. I get nervous, man. Yeah. I think that's what he was doing back here. Like, how many of these beers does this guy got? You know what I mean? Let me go wait for him outside. Kind of one of those police officers, right? Shout out to him, man, for being on site, ready to protect and serve the Corpus Christi area, right? Man, I have none other. If you're just visiting Corpus and you cruise in and you're going to the island and you look to the right, right before you get to the Whataburger. You just passed Airline. Right before you get to the Whataburger and you look right, you cannot miss this Roy's Bait and Tackle event. Right. Cruise on in and win something good. I'm guarantee you guys, if y'all win those kayaks, I want to say when I got up here, there was like a $600-700 fishing reel they were raffling off. If something like that, get it in your hands. It's free, guys. It's free to enter these raffles. Cruise on in and have some fun, right? I got none other than a friend of mine, Montgomery Medley from AM Fishing in the house.
What's going on, man?
Thank you so much, man, for cruising in.
Appreciate the opportunity.
How was the drive, first of all?
Pretty uneventful.
Right? It's kind of I mean, once you pass that checkpoint,
It's
pretty
right on the cusp of being like a road trip,
yeah.
couple hours. It's not too bad. Don't want to do it too much, but it's not like, oh, here we go.
2 hours, right?
More or less.
2 hours around there.
Depending on stops. So,
yeah.
Or how pissed off you are about getting up here.
Yeah, dude. I've done that trip down to South Padre several times for tournaments and stuff. And if you don't have, I think once you pass Sarita, if you don't have no snacks or nothing, you're gonna be on a little bit of a bind, dude.
Yeah,
or gas.
If you're hungry or out of gas north of Sarita,
you're gonna have to pull over and shoot a nail guy and start a little fire or something, and make yourself something to eat. You know what I mean?
No problems there, man.
Yeah, because you're not gonna. Yeah, you're quite the outdoorsman, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah, no. I mean, I was hunting and fishing as long as I could remember. Got me started at an early age, so just always kind of been something I've done and still love to do.
Right.
Fishing was always kind of my like number one thing, though. I mean, I've got a picture of myself on a dock. I'm like 4 or 5 years old, the little Zebco catching piggy perch.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it has been like lifelong. And I used to be into fly fishing a little bit more than I am now, but part of that, you're like tying your own flies and stuff and putting them together. And
right.
So I kind of understood the feeling of creating something and then going out and catching a fish on it. And it's kind of an interesting, reward there. And, and that's kind of on top of just having the idea in your head and then bringing it into the world, and then taking that out for its intended purpose, and then it works. And it's that process is pretty addicting and very rewarding, to say the least. And you can apply that to really anything, but I got it, like I said, from just, I was tying flies with my granddad, then we go catch fish on them, and it's like, oh, wow, this is freaking awesome.
Right.
Started messing around with the soft plastic stuff, and I was like, oh, wow, this is just as cool. And I also build rods too, so I learned how to do that, and it's all kind of the same thing. It's just like having this idea in your head for something you want or something you think might work, and it don't always work.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of trial and error.
Oh yeah, right? Dude, let me just tell you.
Well, before we get into that, you're from Harlingen.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Harlingen.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know it's a little.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, I didn't know they got as light as you over there.
Yeah, I get pushed back on that one.
So you're almost a full blown Mexican.
Basically,
you like tamales and menudo and all that.
Not menudo.
Oh, really?
Just about everything else. Yeah, it's a tomatoey. I'm not a big fan, but yeah, everything else.
Menudo, tomatoey.
It's kind of the broth, kind of that like.
Yeah,
I don't know. If it's like tomato paste or I don't know.
What is that stuff they put in there?
It's something. Not a huge fan.
Yeah, man, dude, I love me a good menudo, but I don't like me. I'm not a real hominy type guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I'd rather have like the stomach meat.
Yeah,
is that what you call it? That's what it is, right?
I think the word for it is like tripe or something.
No, those are tripas.
Well, no, tripas are different, but
the tripas is tripe, right?
Yeah. Well, now we're going down.
What do you call it, guys? What do you call that stuff you put in menudo, man? I wish I had my mom's recipe right now, dude.
Somebody chime in.
I know for a fact that if it's not red, right? And it's like brownish.
Yeah.
If it's brownish, it's not good. If it's red, then
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
yeah, you better have something to drink, right? Cow lining, tripe is one. Menudo is tripe. All right.
Yeah.
So tripe it is.
Yeah,
right?
tripe's like the stomach.
And you don't like that.
It's not that I don't like. I mean, I'll eat. To be honest, my girlfriend's Vietnamese, and they have a version of menudo that I like a
really?
lot.
Is she full blown Harlingen as well?
No, she's from Vietnam. Yeah.
But lives in Harlingen now.
Oh yeah, we both live there now.
Okay.
But yeah, they've got a version of it that's
She was born over there?
yeah.
Oh wow.
The broth's a little lighter, I guess. It's not like a real heavy kind of I don't know, it's just a little different.
Yeah, I
I
think
like that one. I'm not a super picky eater.
Every
So
culture has a menudo type.
I've never heard of a white menudo, but
That's
to be determined.
That's what you call a white menudo is like a chicken noodle soup.
Oh,
right.
okay. There you go.
So somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Right.
Campbell's.
Well, what about tamales though? The Delia's tamales?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've crushed those.
Oh, dude, I love tamales, dude. I'd rather have them a little spicy, right? But I feel like the quality of tamale has gone downhill over the years due to I don't think they make the tamale makers like they used to anymore. Right? Man, I remember growing up, we used to make tamales. I say we, I never did, right?
Yeah.
But I watched a lot. And my mom would make them, man, and the whole family would get together and we'd put them in the meat
Yeah.
grinder, right? We'd grind up a whole bunch of pork. We'd grind up a whole bunch of meat, and then we'd get after it, dude. There was almost like an art, you know.
It's like
JD Crunch is in the house. He says garlic tamales. Man, dude, if you go to Delia's, if you go really anywhere, you'll have an assortment of tamales.
Yeah.
You got chicken, you got beef, you got cream cheese. It's almost like eating a jalapeno popper
cream cheese
in a tamale. I like those. You got bean cheese. Dude, what I want to see is like a asada, bean, bacon, cheese with carne guisada gravy on top tamale. That's what I want to see.
It's like a cute tamale.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those from Laredo Taco Company, right? Man, so fishing. You get started fishing, you know, you said earlier that you're pretty uh inventy in these lures, rods. What made you like why the curl tail?
I wouldn't really say inventy.
That's what it is,
really
right?
consider myself an inventor. Yeah, it's a curly tail. To be honest,
Right, I guess it's not too inventy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like revolutionize anything, but
right.
Everything for me comes from like if I'm out there and whatever the situation is, right? I'm just like, man, I wish I had something that did this or something a little more whatever, right? I mean, that's how the rods too, you know. Yeah. Like recently I was tarpon fishing with a buddy of mine and I was like, okay, I need bigger rods. Like I thought I had a, big enough setup, like it's not even so I get toothpicks. Like, okay, well now I got to figure out how to build, 7'6", 8 foot, like double, triple extra heavy, and I kind of enjoy that process. I'm kind of learning how to do that and what the best setup is. And I mean, I'm not trying to like reinvent the wheel. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. Like you can, there's been so many humans out here for so long doing everything we're doing that, for me, it's just more like refining it to something really specific that I'm doing.
Right. When you go fishing, do you ever say, obviously you have the AM brand ready to go, right?
Yeah.
But is there ever a time to where you're like, well, I want to use this instead of the AM? Because you went tarpon fishing and you immediately said, okay, well, I need to make this lure bigger.
I need to make a rod bigger. I already had a 7-inch bait, and you don't necessarily need a big lure to catch big fish. it's got its time and place.
Right.
But if you put a 4-inch bait in front of a tarpon at the right time, I mean, it's gonna just slurp it up.
Right.
You know, this guy I'm talking about, Brian Barrera, out of he guides out of South Padre.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're looking to catch tarpon, he's the guy to go with. He caught one a couple years ago in like December, and it was pushing 200 pounds, and it was like on a little,
Oh wow.
like he said it was like a 3 or 4 inch mullet. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's as far as I understand, fish are pretty just opportunistic. You know, they operate based on instincts. I don't think they have like deep thoughts about anything. You know, it's just kind of like they've got these instincts, and whatever instincts they have, if they're the right ones to survive, and if they have the genetics to get big, then that's what makes that fish hard to catch, because maybe it's paranoid, or maybe it just has an aversion to colorful looking bait fish, you know,
Right.
that people are trying to put in front of it. Or I said, whatever that equation is, I'm not going to try to figure it out.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
tough.
there's
That's like algebra 2 right there.
at least, man,
For
might
sure.
even border calculus, you know, which I did not complete, by the way.
Right.
Anyway, so
It was senior skip day on that class.
yeah, it's just that's just kind of how I see it. And I mean, even talking about, you know, the bait fishing, you know, I mean, I've caught 7-8 pound trout on a little bitty 3-inch bait we sell. That's, I mean, smaller than my pinky. And I think it's just infinitely more important to get the bait in front of the fish than anything else. So, I mean, you got to find them, you got to be in them. And that's what I tell people a lot, you know, and it might seem kind of counterintuitive for me to say this as a dude with a lure company that sells a bunch of colors. But you really just need a handful of colors that you've got confidence in. And I don't necessarily think a fish is going to hit, you know, a root beer, but won't hit, you know, like a slightly darker root beer, or a root beer with red glitter instead of a root beer with copper glitter. You know, some minute difference. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people get really hung up on stuff like that.
That pisses me off. When I got my favorite color and I see the same color, but with a different color glitter, now that makes me like take a step back, and I'm like, dude,
yeah,
wait a minute, bro. You know what I mean? At what point do I got to throw this?
Yeah,
other glitter.
There's just,
you know,
I mean, there's infinite options, right? Like, there's just, everybody has all these colors. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of companies, and they all sell all these different things. And, you know, I think size and just general like shade are the most important as far as just color is concerned, right? I mean,
Right.
you want just the general profile and, you know, shade to be right. And whatever mood like that fish is in, you know, if they're not being real aggressive, they might not want that bait worked really fast. You know, maybe you got to slow it down, or maybe they are really aggressive and pissed off, and they want something that's, you know, banging around all over the place for them to chase down. And that's all kind of stuff that you got to just adjust to and figure out and pay attention to when you're out there. And I feel like a lot of people get overwhelmed with this, you know, what color is the best thing, and they think more about that than they do, you know, what are these fish telling me right now?
Mhm.
And I try to talk about this a lot, and I always try to figure out a simple way to say it, and I'm never very good at it. But that's really it. You know, I personally, I got about 8 colors that I have thrown for years. I mean,
What's your
I've
favorite?
got a couple different sizes.
How much is a pack of lures? Yours.
They're all $6 on my website.
So if I had $6, I walked into Roy's and I had $6. What color would work? Because I hate that, man. I hate walking into the sea of lures and having to buy all of them.
I would advise you to maybe save up another $6 so you could get 2 colors.
Like a dark and a light.
Yeah, I mean, I would go with something like a midnight mullet. That's
Is that
our
the
color.
purple one?
It's got a black back, and then it's actually like a triple color laminate. So it's black and then purple, and then the belly's kind of like a greenish pearl, and it glows green. That one's dark. you can throw it in. I don't really like throwing it in like crystal clear water, but you totally can.
Right.
Um, and, get something like that, and then maybe like a baby trout, where it's just a really natural kind of translucent silver pearlish, or maybe OG blood diamond, red and white. Um, they would definitely be just a couple of opposites. Light and a dark um, would probably be the way to go. That's what I would. You could even maybe do like toxic root beer, where it's like a dark root beer color, and then also do like pearl, where it's just like this kind of translucent silverish. Got a little bit of like a purplish sheen to it. Um, and that's because I do get that question a lot, and my answer is always the same to that. I don't get the $6 limit, but it's like, hey, dude, just get 3 or 4 or 5, get a handful of bags, but don't get like black and silver, black and purple, black and
Oh
blue.
yeah.
Get like black and silver,
A whole bunch of dark colors.
silver, white and silver. Get like opposites, different stuff that you can go throw. And I typically just try to the smallest I could comfortably whittle it down and give people advice with would be 4 colors, and it would just be a light, a white, a bright, and a dark.
Mm.
So that'd be something, black, root beer, dark color. Bright color might be like chartreuse and white, or chartreuse and orange, or pink and white, just something really like out there. A light would be like a more translucent, natural looking, like I said, the pearl. I'm a big fan of the pearl. I throw that one a lot. It could be the baby trout, blue crab. I'm just listing my colors, but I mean, this can be applied to, anywhere, just a subtle, translucent, natural, not out there kind of color. And then a white would just be a white, white and silver, straight white. I mean, you could have a white and chartreuse, and that could double as your white and your bright.
So you want a baby trout? The lure is called baby trout.
Yeah, the color's called baby trout. Some people call it baby bass.
Which a trout is going to eat this baby trout.
Oh yeah.
So we're not the only ones to blame for the trout.
Yeah, trout are savages.
We might have to put the limits on the trout themselves.
Yeah, good luck.
Right? How many years have you been doing this?
We've officially been in business for like 4 years, but we've really been doing it for 5. There was a lot of, like you were saying, testing and trial and error. And
so in the industry, full blown AM fishing, 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you include the development and everything, it's
so 5. About a year.
Just to be full disclosure, yeah, it was about a year of development, putting stuff together. Weren't trying to start anything, just we're just trying to. We're really just having fun with it, man, and messing with stuff, and it kind of just naturally became. I mean, because we're putting it together for ourselves, so after a while, it's just like, okay, this is working really great for what we do.
Yeah,
and there was like this 6-month period where I was like, dude, I don't throw anything else now. Like I used to carry. I'd have a couple different ones from this brand that I liked, and different sizes and colors and stuff, and just slowly was like, well, I haven't touched that in 3 or 4 months. Haven't touched that one in a couple of months. Haven't thrown that, and just got to a point after 5 or 6 months where that was it, and that's all I was throwing. And then we had
what was one of the first colors you made?
Toxic root beer, baby trout, pearl, midnight mullet. All these ones I'm telling people about, like these are my colors, man.
So the rest of the colors kind of just fell in place. Like, okay, well, I got these people asking me this color.
A little bit of that, if I get enough, I really just try to listen to people. And the basic reality of it is like my 8, and this is kind of touching on a topic that I'll probably get to a little bit later, but like my 8 are different than your 8. They're different than that guy's 6. This guy's 12. I got buddies that throw one color, dude. Like literally, that's it. Like Dunzo. That's all they throw, and they jack them up, dude. And it's like they got confidence in that color, like you just said, and they're not worrying about what they're throwing. They're just worried about getting on the fish. And especially kind of in our like bay system down here, I fish the lower Laguna Madre where I'm at. You're in the upper Laguna. It's pretty similar stuff, and I don't know the numbers for up here, but down there we've got like 63 miles or something of just and this is east of the intercoastal, just wide open, clear water, sand pockets, grass, sand if you go far enough east. And there's some stuff in there if you know about, like little undulations and, deeper potholes and whatnot
Right.
that you could hit, but there's really nothing that's gonna like hold fish anywhere. I mean, they're just out there grazing,
Oh, really?
basically following fish
So it's a
around.
lot of blind casting over there?
Um, sort of. You could also, I mean, you could side cast. The water's clear enough. You can get up on a tower or something and watch them, or you can get out shallow enough and catch them, tailing and whatnot. And there's plenty of that. That's a way to do it. I know up here y'all have a lot of like little marshes and stuff that
Yeah. We
you
got
got
one
some
marsh that everybody knows about, and
you got some drains and
everybody just cruises over there, just beats it up.
yeah. Jeez, man, that thing never stops. Just turn that off. But yeah, so it's that's what I'm saying. Like getting on the fish is at least 90% of the battle. Argument
Mhm.
could be made for 95 or 99%.
Right.
But once you're on them, that's when it starts. Okay, what are they doing? I know I'm on the fish. That's the number one problem. That's solved. Then you can start getting into like, I'm working this thing really fast and I'm getting a couple of bites, but there's more fish here. I think I should be getting more. Maybe slow it down, see if that kind of gets you a couple more. Um, and you're just trying to take in as much information as you can. And so I'm just throwing out some stuff that like I've noticed
Mhm.
and made adjustments to and has worked for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, this is
but this
the
is
Mr. Montgomery show.
yeah, but this
Nobody
is
else is
not
mad. Nobody else matters right now, dude.
yeah, well, my point is it's not the end all be all, right? Like nobody can give you the 10 steps to catch fish.
Right.
It's just like, hey, this is some stuff that's worked for me. And if you find yourself in a similar scenario, maybe you can make similar adjustments and it can, but maybe you don't want to throw that color. You try this other one you had, or,
Yeah.
you notice something that I didn't notice and, maybe you catch, better fish over there. Um, but just to highlight like a really specific example, and there's been multiple days I've done this, especially like late fall when everything's just super calm and glass and there's not a lot of wind. You get out first thing in the morning and you can see the wakes, like 100% I'm on fish, catching a couple of them, as the sun's coming up, the little morning feeding period there. And
Mhm.
then sun gets up and a lot of light, stuff kind of calms down a little bit, and I might be throwing something that's, a little brighter. Like we got one called chicken shard. It's kind of like a fluorescent, like pinkish orange, a little bit. It's like a real shrimpy color.
Mm.
Um, and when you don't have a lot of light in the morning, that'll
Is
kind of
that like
pick
the
up.
yellowish one? Yellowy,
Sort of. It's kind of like
yellowy,
a
blondie.
translucent chartreuse in the belly, and then the top is a fluorescent pink. But that chartreuse coloring we have in there, it bleeds really bad, so
Mm.
it colors that pink, and it's like this. The whole thing together is like this fluorescent, like orangish. It's not super bright, but I mean, when that sun's just barely peeking up and there's like no light, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Um, and in my opinion, it looks like, I mean, it looks like a shrimp, dude. It's just
Yeah.
this kind of like it's this orangish, translucentish kind of looking color, and um, I really like it. First thing in the morning, or as the sun's going down, or just not a lot of light out. Maybe it's real overcast or
Right.
something. That's like a bright I would use. Um,
What do you think attracts fish? Attractant.
well, that's a pretty loaded question. But let me back up
Oh,
to that
yeah,
last one
yeah,
really
yeah.
quick. Yeah. So, I'm throwing that chicken shart in the morning, and then as the sun gets up, you can start noticing I'm throwing at fish. I'm watching wakes and little mullet getting skipped
You
around, and
know there's fish there.
I've been catching fish, and so maybe my bites start slowing down. I notice a couple of fish like spook off the color, like I throw at them and they get up to it and take
All
off or
right.
something. It's like, okay, this is probably a little much for these fish right now, right? The sun's up, it's shallow, there's no wind, pretty calm. It's like, all right, maybe I'll switch to like baby trout. And baby trouts are really clear water, sunny, like that's the one, as far as I'm concerned. I'll switch to something like that and then start picking up some more bites, and they're not really spooking off of it. I won't work it very fast. Maybe just kind of throw it up in front of some and just kind of skim it along the bottom, or just slowly kind of. I use a really light jig head too, so it's not like bouncing up and down. I can kind of
Like a
just.
16th.
Yeah, it's labeled as a 16th, but I mean the jig head. I got one over here. I can show here in a minute, but just making that adjustment based on the fish are not acting the way they were. They're not as aggressive. Maybe toning down that color a little bit, squeeze a few more bites out, and you know maybe they just keep hitting it all day. Maybe eventually they get tired of that one, and you size it down from there. I'm throwing a 4-inch. Maybe I drop it down to a 3-inch when they stop biting. They tell me, "Hey, I don't want any more of
Right.
this," and I'm not going to leave those fish. I mean, there was a day a couple years ago that's like stands out, and I literally was just walking in circles for like 3 or 4 hours, and literally what I'm telling you is from that day. It was just throwing that chicken shark. They kind of got over it. I actually sized down the chicken shark to a 3-inch. Didn't like that one. Went to baby trout. Started catching them. Kept catching them. Kept catching them. Just I was just walking in like this, like a football field. I was just walking around literally 3 or 4 hours. About 11:30. I had 30 or 40 redfish, and they were all just. I wasn't making a lot of noise. I wasn't spooking them,
Right.
blowing it out. I was just kind of slowly. And when I'm walking around and something like that too, I mean, I'm casting everywhere. Just slowly. There's no wind, so it's easy to cast back, up, down, and But if I was out there doing that, and for some reason they started getting turned off of the baby trout, then I might even size. So I've made the color a little subtler. Then if they tell me they don't want that, it's like, okay, maybe I drop the size down and make that even more subtle. It's just this tiny little like morsel, and almost just try to make it like impossible for them to not. It's just this little opportunity to just grab it real quick, and or maybe the opposite happens and they get turned on again and start blowing bait up, and it's like, okay, maybe I size it up to a 5-inch, or throw like a Mansfield Magic where it's like white with a holographic silver glitter in the belly, and it's a little bit brighter, and I'm just start working that a little
See, that
faster.
color's
And
more my speed right there.
yeah, and so that's what I'm kind of saying. I mean, you might be listening to this like, I don't know what those other two are, but white and silver, yeah, I'll throw white and silver.
Oh yeah, they're going back and forth to the website and checking out the colors. Like, man,
oh, I'm sure everybody
their
is
orders
right now.
right
They're like,
now,
okay, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of just how I approach it, man. And I just try to look for little stuff that's different, and that could be a little sand pocket that's by itself, or if the tide's low, there's little grass floats that kind of form, and might be there's a bunch of mullet jumping everywhere, and that doesn't necessarily get me super excited if they're just all over the place jumping happy. But I pull up to a spot and see a little mullet kind of skitter off that way, or another one skitter off this way, and not a lot going on. But you see that, I see that, I'm gonna be there for a couple hours. Like, that mullet's trying to get away from something, something's chasing it. Mullet aren't just jumping around dancing happy.
Yeah, for sure. They're not trying to get out of the water just for nothing.
Yeah, they're not just like announcing their presence.
I actually asked a guide that, why in the hell do mullet jump? There's got to be fish over there, right, or something, right? And then he was saying that they might be trying to get away from something, right? Or they sometimes they'll get like these parasites on them, so they'll jump out of the water and smash the water back down to try to get it off them. Something like that. I was like, man, that kind of makes sense.
I'd say that's plausible,
right? I mean,
that's kind of the overarching theme, though, is nobody really like, I mean, and that's kind of just what I try to keep in my head, is just like, nobody knows what's going on. I don't know what's going on any day. I mean, you can look at dudes that have been doing it for 40, 50 years professionally. They've been guiding for that long. And that's, I mean, dude, if you do 50 years and you're doing 200 trips a year, that's a lot of time on the water, man.
Yeah, man. If you are a tackle shop that has been open for 50 years, you are doing something right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's kind of just like, you can ask those guys too, and they'll just, man, it's that's what keeps everybody going back. Like, what can you do 200 times a year, all day, for 50 years? Something that's always changing.
Yeah.
And you can find areas that are, I mean, 100%, there's areas that are high probability areas, and there's structure that you can learn about, and patterns that have worked for you in the past, and you can go try to replicate those. And a lot of times it'll work, sometimes it won't, but nothing's 100%. It's always different. That's what I think really keeps people like intrigued about it, is and not to get too far into this tangent, but um especially guys, man, because we're wired to solve problems, and
Hmm.
the problem changes every day.
Right.
It's like a new reward.
Yeah.
You just went
You'll
out to
tear
this,
them up one day, and then you're like, man, I'm gonna go tear them up again, and you just
and it
don't got
doesn't
shit.
happen, and that just makes you want to get out there that much more,
Yeah.
because like, oh, I thought I had something figured out, and you don't.
Yeah, that's what we like to
you know
call figuring it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that mindset when you're out there is just I mean, at least in my experience too. I mean, I haven't been around too long, but I think that's the best way to go about it. Is just like, I kind of have an idea of what I want to, look for.
How old are you? Like 30 something?
27.
27, man. You ain't even 30 yet.
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of hesitant to like, you know, give advice and stuff, because I'm like, damn, dude, I'm like,
Yeah. No one's
this
gonna
dude's
listen
been
to me.
guiding for longer than I've been alive,
Yeah.
or this other guy's been freaking doing it twice as long as I've been alive. And,
Yeah.
um, so there's kind of that aspect, but then there's also like, but I've also kind of been doing it longer than some people, because I have, when you grow up in Harlingen, Texas, if you don't like to hunt or fish, you get out of there as quick as you can, man.
Yeah. You're either gonna be hunting and fishing, or you're gonna be making tamales.
There ain't nothing else down there, man. Yeah,
Right.
you're gonna be a freaking tamale dude.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the king of fish or the king of tamales, one of the two.
And I really loved it. And yeah, I mean, growing up, dude, especially start getting into high school and stuff, all you hear is everybody like, "Ah, I can't wait to get out of here. It's so boring. Da da da. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go."
Or the Border
And
Patrol.
dude,
A lot of them that work for the Border Patrol too.
yeah. Shit, dude, I think they
Shout out to
like,
them, man.
yeah,
Shout out to all the Border
shout
Patrol.
out to the Border Patrol, understaffed, and doing
Man,
what they can.
I spoke to a dude this morning, weirdly, about the Border Patrol,
Yeah,
and he was saying that there's a $30,000 sign-on bonus,
I believe it.
$15,000 to get in, if you get in, and another 15 after you
Yeah.
pass the training.
Man, like 5 or 6 years ago.
I'd be like, guess what? I'm in. Give me my 15,000,
Yeah.
and
Oh, whoops!
I'm
I didn't
putting my
pass.
2 weeks in. You know?
Yeah. I didn't pass the test.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
I'm about to go spend
Whoops.
$15,000 on AM lures.
Come right back to
Get in
Roy's.
all the colors.
Yeah, that gets you a few of them.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of just how I approach it, man. It's just a bunch of little bits of information that you kind of just collect as you fish. And I think a lot of people miss it, because instead of putting attention into that, they're like, oh, well, I could be throwing that color, or I could be throwing this color, or I could be doing this. And it's like, I don't even mess with it until I know I'm on fish and I'm not catching any. Then it's like, okay, maybe they don't want this one. And that doesn't really happen a lot. But like I said, man, if I throw something and fish spooks off of it or swims up to it and doesn't eat it, might be a good idea to make a change, because
Right.
whatever's going on in that moment, they're not really in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And I try not to be set in my ways. And I know as humans, we kind of get that way. I've noticed that in myself, trying to force a certain color or something just because I've been catching them on it for a month. But that's just kind of how I go about it.
Right.
Like I said, you could ask 100 people how they do it, and they can give you 100 different answers.
Yeah. 100 different wrong answers.
Well, maybe wrong for you.
Yeah,
At
that's
the end
what
of
I'm
the day,
saying. I mean,
you got to get out there. Like, there's no substitute for experience. I
Right.
could sit here and tell you 100 fish stories about all these different scenarios I was in and what I did and if it worked or not. You go talk to some dude like Jay Watkins, or I know a guy named Skipper Ray down on the island. Both of those guys have been professional guides for over 40 years, and hey, this is how I do it. This is how I look at it. And you could go out there and it doesn't work for you at all.
Yeah.
But until you put 40 years
You
in
can go buy exactly what they use.
Yeah.
And use it in your realm of fishing, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And that's just part of it. You can't replicate that guy's 45 years. He could write a book and record videos, and you could study it and memorize all of it. You could have him on speed dial, video camera, like talking to you in your ear about, while you're fishing, about how to. And until you put your 40 years in, like you're not gonna have that refined, just those instincts, you know. But yeah, that's the thing, dude. It's just every time you go out there, there's something else to learn. There's some other adjustment to make. There's, and you just keep filing it away and filing it away and filing it away, and you kind of just refine your process and figure out your thing and the way you're doing it. And some people end up just becoming fanatics about one fish and one species.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like a big contrast in like the bass world. You got a million dudes fishing saltwater.
None of them bass guys keep those bass and eat them.
I'm sure a few of them do.
Is it good? Have you ever eaten one?
I've eaten some bass. Yeah, I mean, I fished a couple ponds when I was a kid and caught some, and bass and crappie are pretty yummy.
Yeah.
I guess you just got this little closed system, and bass anglers are. I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not a bass angler, but
me either.
I mean, when you're in a little closed pond and you've got 500 fish in there, and you just start jacking them up all the time and eating them, you're gonna.
I'm not a bass angler, but I am a trout angler.
Yeah.
And do you think trout anglers want to pretend that they're bass anglers, especially now?
I think there's a lot of parallels. The thing with the bass though is it's like you have. Now, it's like what I was saying, man. In saltwater, whatever the numbers are, I don't know what they are, but in saltwater, you got a million dudes chasing 100 different species.
Right.
In the bass fishing world, and across, I mean, you got offshore, you got inshore, you got all these different ecosystems, all these different, base systems, and you got guys in Carolina fishing creeks and fishing marshes, and we got flats, and as far as the bass world goes, you've got 10 million people, right, chasing one fish. And there's different ponds and different structures in the ponds and stuff, but it's still a bass. And
right,
you see these guys like Kevin Van Dam, who's like the GOAT, and I don't know if you've ever watched any of his like shows or videos. You should look him up, dude. He's freaking savage.
Is he on Tuber?
He would just go. Well, he's a professional bass angler, fishing all these different tournaments.
Does he got like a TV show or something?
I don't know if he has his own TV show, if it was like, filming the tournaments that he was fishing, and the tournament had a show for the tournament, and then he was like part of it. Because he's always winning them.
Oh,
and
really?
I grew up. I would just watch fishing shows all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's what I watched when I was watching TV. It was like people catching tarpon and shit in Florida, and this dude catching. And like, I remember this one episode. He was fishing this tournament. It was like a 3-day tournament, and in the morning on day 2, he like already won, 100% guaranteed.
Oh.
And he was just fishing for fun. And he was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna go try to find another. And it was just like he just knew everything.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
He was like the Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, but it was like you just, he's spending his whole life on this one thing and, just obsessing over it. And, when you get some trout guys that are like that with speckled trout, I get it. I love catching big trout. I love chasing them. I also like catching snook. I also like, I like kind of doing some different stuff sometimes, but
there's only so many ways to hold a big trout.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot that you can garner from those bass fishing guys and transition it to the trout fishing world.
They're real similar.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And what you get is a rod and reel built to throw a specific lure.
Right.
You got a spinnerbait rod, and you got a wacky rig rod, and you got like a crankbait
15
rod.
15 different rods.
Yeah, and that's because they've just refined all these presentations down to try to catch these bass, because there's all these people just focusing on this one fish, catching it all year long. And yeah, it's like, oh, well, when you start focusing on all that really little stuff and refining it, like, yeah, that's got its time and place. I think for the vast majority of people, though, really trying to focus on some tiny, minute little change probably isn't the way to go. I mean, until you really got the rest of it figured out, and you're on them, or it's a high probability area, or you're like 100% confident you're in them and something just isn't right, then okay, maybe this other one with a slower sink rate, or maybe sizing this down a half an inch, or switch into this other specialized presentation. But that's what these bass guys are doing. That's what they're in it, you know, and they got all these electronics and they're looking at this piece of structure and they're fishing the structure, you know, like that's 20 feet underwater. You can't see it, but they're dropping the bait on different points of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working it and they're watching it on the sonar. They can see if there's, you know, stuff going on.
They got like that live target sonar.
Yeah, they can see where their freaking bait's landing,
Right.
you know, some like big spoons and stuff. And
Yeah.
and that's what you get, man, when you have all these people just, I mean, and it's all just trial and error. They're all just trying stuff and something's working and then they let it work and then they try it, you know, a little
Yeah.
change. Um and when you got 10 million people doing that, that's what it developed. I mean, for 100 years too.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got a pond in their backyard. You know, freshwater, you know, bass fishing, crappie are way more accessible than saltwater is. And
You
yeah,
think all those redfish they catch in San Antonio is kind of like
oh, and that lake up there,
it's kind of like a pond, like pond fish.
man, I don't know. There's this guy.
I saw a post the other day that they were catching them with AM.
Yeah, is that James Bray?
Not sure he's a boater.
I don't know. He was a guy up there. I haven't heard from him in a little while, but he was throwing him for a while. And yeah, I mean, he was fishing like 30, 40 feet of water.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had redfish in there. He'd catch big old like 10, 15-pound blue cats. Like, yeah. I'm not really sure. I always meant to get up there, and he invited me fishing a bunch of times. I could never make it, but I always meant to get up there and check it out. It seems like an interesting deal.
Right.
Real
close too. It's right there, San Antonio.
Yeah, I guess.
I think you got to pay to get in. I'm not too sure.
I'm sure that could be included with your guiding fee.
Oh yeah, we'll have him pay for it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's what I think about. You know, you can pay attention to the bass world and kind of maybe apply some of that stuff to catching speckled trout or catching, you know, any fish really. But just keep in mind that a lot of the stuff they're doing has just been refined across an infinite number of fishing hours.
There's a lot more money in the bass world as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they don't want to keep them, because that's money.
Yeah. They are definitely a little more conservation minded than I would say than generally most saltwater fishermen, especially over here in Texas, Louisiana area. Closer to Florida you get, they get a little more.
Yeah, the thing I don't like about conservation is you have to let them go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm.
If you're gonna be a trout, that's the hot topic right now. Is conserving the trout, right?
You know,
but a conservationist should be about all the fish, not just the trout.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm a pretty selective conservationist myself. I think there's and I'm this way with a lot of stuff, but I think there's a pretty happy balance to be struck between just kill them all and you know, don't keep anything.
Right.
And you see this with a lot of stuff where it's just like one side or the other. There's no in between. And it's like, yeah, there actually is, you know, like, you know, I personally, I'll keep a few trout every now and again. I try not to keep them over 20, but I mean, if they're hooked real deep or something, or, I also, you know, have access to fish all the time. I'm not fishing once a month and, you know, that's my one trip. And I mean, if I was fishing once a month and wanted some fish to eat, yeah, I'd keep my limit, you know, why not? I'm not going to go out 2 or 3 times a week and keep my limit because I think that for me personally would be a little overkill. I'm not going to eat all that fish. I don't freeze fish. If I feel like I can't eat it over the next couple of days, then I won't, you know, I'll stop. Sometimes it's just out of laziness. I don't want to clean them today.
Yeah, that's the worst part is cleaning them.
I don't keep a lot of redfish. I might keep a couple of trout here and there. I will slaughter flounder. I have no mercy. They're too good.
There's going to be a lot of backlash for that.
Legally. I don't go over my limit or anything like that. But flounder are yummy. I like them.
Do you fry them or stuff them?
Depends how much work I want to do. Stuffing.
I like everything fried. It don't matter what it is.
Yeah.
I got some tuna the other day. Fried it.
Fried tuna.
Quick, dude. Tartar sauce.
Yeah. There you go.
Put on some Tejano music in the background.
Yeah.
There we go, man. We're having a quinceañera, dude, at my house.
Fire up the disco.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it, man. Is, you know, just kind of keep in mind that 10-pound trout used to be common. So there definitely was some excessive killing.
Excessive killing or the freeze killing?
I'm not talking about the past 2 years. I'm talking about over the past 40.
Okay.
There used to not be limits. It used to just be like we could never.
Yeah.
And you read some books from old timers and hear stories from old timers, and it's like talking about just fields of redfish and stringers of 8 to 12-pound trout, and they're bringing home a 20-pound or a 20-fish stringer that weighs 150 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like, do the math.
Filling up the ice chest.
Have you ever caught 27.5-pound trout in one day?
Right.
Like it would be like the day of your life. Now used to just happen all the time.
Yeah.
So there is that perspective where it's like there has been, and there is a lot more people doing it, and everybody's got a boat that does 80 miles an hour and they can fish everywhere. And, we figured out how to catch them pretty good.
Yeah.
And
YouTube.
there's a lot of guides too, that are doing it for a living, and they're putting people on fish
every day.
And,
I see that.
So there is that side where it's like, I'm going to acknowledge that there's probably a lot more pressure on them than there used to be, and there's a little less than there used to be. And I think there's a way that we can manage it where you can still keep what you need. It's kind of the cliche phrase, keep what you need, release the rest.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good way to go about it, whether that's keeping a limit once a month or once a week or whatever your version of that is. I think that's a good way to approach it. And I think this polarizing, don't ever keep anything or you're like the devil,
right?
Or kill them all because F you. Like that's where it gets. It's like I'm just gonna keep all of them because fuck you.
Because I want to make a post about it.
Or like I'm not gonna sit here
slam them on my boat.
I've done that too. I used to keep my limits every time I went out, and then I just kind of got to a point where I just stopped. Like I wasn't like, all right, I'm done forever. Like I'm never keeping another fish. Just like, I really only need a couple today.
Right.
And then it was kind of like, well, I had a couple yesterday. I don't really need to keep anything today. And that's kind of just how it happened. Just slowly got to a point where I just stopped, and I do personally release at least 90% probably what I catch. But I'm not going to like impose that on other people.
Right.
If you want to keep your limit, go ahead. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm not going to, there's a lot of people that are way smarter than me figuring all that stuff out. So I'm not really going to try to get in there and fight and whatnot. But that's kind of just my take on it is, just don't be abusive.
Right.
I would say if you're at the point where you're just loading the freezer up and never touching stuff and throwing it away 8 months later because it's all freezer burned, like maybe tone it down a little bit. If you're not getting through it.
Yeah. It's all ice growing off the Ziploc bag already.
Take it out and it's all like, it's like freaking astronaut food.
I'm going to stop you real quick because I got to give something away, man.
Yeah,
We've already been going 53 minutes and we haven't given away shit. So first thing I'm going to do is get to the questions. What do we give away first? Let's give away some AM fishing lures, right?
Go ahead, man.
We're going to give away.
Got them within reach.
that police officer.
Oh, yeah, right.
He got me all freaked out, man. I thought I was going to get attacked back here. We're going to give away some AM fishing lures. We got about 5 to 6 bags, assorted colors, right? They all have the garlicky goodness. Here's just a couple that we're giving away, right? 5 to 6 bags, like I said. Go ahead.
You got one of those baby trout?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's that baby trout I was talking about. Let's see if they can. There we go. Yeah. It's nice, translucent. And this isn't like a revolutionary color either. I mean, there's baby bass and the green and silver is just, it works. A lot of people figure that out.
Yeah, but this baby trout from Hart.
Oh yeah, this is garlicky baby trout.
Yeah,
there's
baby trout and then there's garlicky.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
First person to tell me how many years AM fishing has been full blown in the industry is going to get you 5 to 6 bags of AM fishing garlicky goodness. Right. Garlic infused. We got a winner. Andy Ozuna
That was quick.
Ozuna.
How many people do we have on here?
Right now we got 15.
Nice.
15 in the house.
Killing it.
Chris Castro says 6. He is absolutely wrong.
Yeah. Denied.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right here. I'm sorry, man. 5 years was the right answer.
Sorry, Chris.
And Ozuna, slide into my DMs. You got 48 hours. If you do not slide into my DMs,
then we're giving them to Chris.
We're giving them away to the second winner, which is Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews wins everything.
Oh yeah,
he's on point. He's not on point today.
Let's
give away another. Let's give away another. Before we run out of time, man. You know,
I don't have anywhere to be, man.
No. All right. Well, let's keep going.
Let's keep rolling with it.
What attracts fish? Is that another loaded one?
That's another loaded question.
I'll make it easier. I spoke to a dude the other day. His first name is 2 letters, and his last name makes the sound like if you're biting something. That's just a little hint, right? Okay.
Wonder who that is.
So he told me that the 3 things that attract fish in the scent world, or that realm of things,
so
right?
Just the scent.
Yeah. He said garlic, coffee, and milk.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the?
So they did. I'm probably going to misquote all this, so don't.
Hey, it don't matter, dude.
There was
This is the Montgomery.
They put them in a book, and I forgot what it was called. I didn't read the whole book, but I read the study part, and they did they were doing it bass fishing, so
that's where it usually stems from, right? The bass stuff,
and it's
fresh water, I guess.
It's hard too to even take a freaking study and be like, oh, well, they did this for a month and they tried all this different stuff. It's like, yeah, but every day the fish are in a different mood.
You know anything about baseball?
What do you think about baseball?
Strike one. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. But I mean, you can kind of take the information and just do with it what you will. And they tested all this different stuff, and they found there's scents that help, scents that don't really matter. It's one way or another, and then stuff that deters fish. And there's lists of all of them, but I'm not gonna get into all of it. But some of the stuff that deters fish, they found were like gas, petroleum products. If you had your rods, even in the garage with a gas tank, next to them, right? You didn't even have to get it on them. Sunscreen, bug spray.
Right.
Even
sunscreen's a big one, right?
Yeah, even just the oil on your
especially if you're fishing with a croaker. And you try to get a croaker off.
We're not going to start with the croaker conversation.
Dude, you will kill every single one of them, man. You'll be fishing with dead bait as soon as you get to your spot.
Oh yeah, they pretty. It's no surprise to anybody that sunscreen probably isn't. And this is just, it's not 100%, right? Sometimes they're so fired up, doesn't matter. They're just going to smash everything as soon as they see it.
Yeah.
So there's going to be somebody that's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, believe you. Good job, bro.
Right.
Anyway, so then they found, there's a bunch of stuff that didn't really matter. And that was a lot of I don't even remember because I didn't even read that column, but it was like vegetable scents.
Okay.
It was basically just a bunch of natural stuff, but that you wouldn't find in water, It's like a lot of food, basically.
Yeah.
And then the scents that attracted were everything you would think was, bait fish, and they were doing crawfish and worm
shrimp
juice or whatever they were doing. Garlic was kind of an outlier, and milk. The coffee, I think I remember that being in the didn't matter column, but I'm not saying it doesn't. And this was just this one.
What does milk smell?
Little stuff. I don't fucking know.
Right? Is that weird?
If milk smells, I think it's probably not that good.
Right?
But yeah, there's definitely stuff that helps, stuff that doesn't. And to be honest, even the stuff that's in the doesn't matter column, if you've got something like that on your bait, it's going to cover up stuff that you might get on there that would deter the fish. So there's still kind of a benefit to having it. Obviously, you'd want something that attracts the fish and covers up stuff that might deter them from biting it. But I kind of say all that just to like, there's two sides of it, right? There's like, all right, well, you're probably going to get something on that bait at some point that's going to deter the fish.
Mhm.
And no matter how careful you are, you might have like washed your hands that morning. And
Right.
I mean, even like human skin oil was a deterrent. So just touching it yourself,
Yeah.
like it's going to get something on there that they, smell and
On the
typically
bait.
don't like. Yeah. So that's like the one side of it. And then also having a scent that attracts them. That's where you kind of get, the best of both worlds, where it's covering up stuff that might have been on there that shouldn't have been on there.
Yeah.
And then, they are
You
attracted
got your
to it.
taco juice and from the morning on
There you
there.
go.
You just probably opened up some
A little
carbach and
chorizo grease.
yeah, you got all
Uh,
that without even washing your hands and
yeah.
stuff.
So there's that, man. And something else that I don't want to say a lot of people don't think about, because I'm sure plenty of people do. And I don't know what people think about or what they don't, but it's not something I see prevalent and out there, is like stuff works different underwater.
Right.
Like light travels underwater differently than it does through the air.
Mhm.
And if you live underwater, like you're going to see a little bit differently than we do. Scent. I mean, everybody's heard, a shark can smell a drop of blood and, 7 miles away or whatever
Yeah.
crazy number that is. And it's like, yeah, like that's not just sharks, every aquatic creature that's evolved in the water can smell from a pretty good way away, because it's beneficial. I mean, it's kind of how nature works. And whatever you believe in, how everything started, I think everybody can probably also agree that, maybe he said let it be, and then 3,000 years later stuff kind of maybe changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Created the environment, put everything in there, and then it slowly kind of
Right. Humans messed it all up. We got a question come in from Austin Matthews, actually. It says, but how did someone figure out garlic?
Trial and error, my man.
I'm going to change that one. Why did AM Fishing say garlic? From the whole list of all of them that does and does not, why garlic?
Well, dude, man, you can order any amount of scented, I mean, like whatever combination of anything you can imagine, you can add it as scent, so there's just infinite choices there too. The garlic, if I'm being completely honest, we were already using. There was like a Procure style garlic scented, like a gel, and I wouldn't always use it, but stuff wasn't really going well. It was like, oh, maybe they just really want scent today. They're really keying on it for some reason. And that's what I found, and so we put it on there, and that was one of the things. It was like, well, if the baits just smelled like this already, I wouldn't have to worry about carrying this other thing. And then that gel gets stuck on everything, man. You get it on your rod seat or like anything. It's kind of gross. Works, but it's kind of gross. So that's kind of how we landed on the garlic. And it works. Like we already knew it worked. We caught fish on stuff that we.
So this is more like a dry. You were trying to get away with all the.
Well, we just didn't want that.
And stuff.
If you've ever used Procure or any of those scent gels, this wasn't Procure's brand. It was another one. But any of those scent gels, dude.
I hate that stuff.
They're nasty, man. It was,
and that's just like, something else you got to carry with.
Yeah, exactly. Too. I try to keep it like super freaking simple, man. I mean, if you saw what I carried, you'd be like, "What?" Like, I mean, I have. We sell these little bitty pocket boxes. I've got like 7 colors, few in each one, extra jig head or 2. That's it.
Yeah.
I use the same rig whether I'm fishing for trout or tarpon. Basically, I mean, just bigger rod, bigger line, everything in between, bigger jig head maybe. And yeah, it's like I in my perfect world, I could just have one thing, one rod setup, one lure, and I could just use that for everything. Never have to. The best I've gotten to though is a couple different rods for whatever I may be going to do. Couple different lures, couple different jig heads. But I try to not get real complicated with it. Just put all my energy into like focusing on getting on them, and then listening to what they're telling me. I'm just going to keep coming back to that on all these questions, because that's just like the biggest thing in my experience is just, and this is my personal experience. I used to freaking change lures every 20 or 30 minutes.
Really?
I used to carry everything.
Yeah.
And I used to just, constantly be, swapping stuff out, trying this,
Yeah.
oh, Alabama rig, what's that thing? I remember when that came out, and I went and like bought one and like made one. I was
What is
trying
that?
it.
Alabama?
An Alabama rig is a bass rig, but it's just this like, it's a head, like a lead head, and then it's got wires that come out of it. And so you have like 3 or 5 or 8 freaking baits.
Yeah. Like an umbrella kind of.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it's just
thing.
like, this thing, and it's
Yeah.
like this little school you're basically
Yeah.
fishing with, and it,
That's crazy.
and yeah, I used to be like that, dude.
Yeah.
I've got tackle boxes full of crap. I've got shelves in my garage like this up here that are just like full of all my stuff, and just kind of slowly, my fishing game evolved, and
Yeah.
and like I said, some of the best fishermen I know, dude, carry freaking a couple of things, and not to say that makes me one, but I kind of was like, oh, dude, this guy's carrying 3 freaking colors. Do I really need all this stuff?
Right.
No. Okay, but what 3 do I need?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
But now it's
Because you
like,
ain't eating it.
yeah, and now it's like, dude, if you go look at my Facebook and Instagram, I haven't posted too much recently, but every fish since 2018 probably, all of it's on AM lures, every one of them. And that's not me saying that it's the only thing that works and that's all you should use. That's me saying I made this for me, and so that's what I use.
Right.
Like I literally designed this to fit my, stuff, right?
This works for you.
Tweaked it, tailored it, and it works for a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't, and I don't ever expect anybody to only throw my stuff. And a lot of people do though, just because they believe in it.
There's a lot of heavy hitters that do.
That's what I want. So, if somebody's, that's kind of touching on another topic I think you were going to bring up is I've always just wanted people that were posting about the brand or promoting it or recommending it to anybody to be doing so just because they genuinely like believed in it, and not the other way around where it's like, oh, well, I throw these because this dude gave me free stuff. I throw these because this dude gave me a discount. I throw these because this dude's paying me to throw them.
Yeah.
I throw these because they catch fish, and he doesn't give me anything, but and that's not to say I don't give anybody stuff. I do have, buddies that, really help work to promote stuff. And
because you don't have an AM fishing team.
Yeah, I don't. And
because I'm sure you get that question a lot.
I
on
do.
Your DMs.
Oh God, man. Just
everybody wants to be part of something.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
which is okay. Right.
I'm kind of adjusting my viewpoint on that, but to me, promotional staff, not professional staff, it's promotional staff, is a good idea when it's somebody saying, hey man, I've been throwing these things for 2 or 3 years or 6 months, or I've been using them.
Why do you call it a promotional staff?
Because that's what it is.
If you're giving them a promotional...
Well, they're promoting your product, right?
But what if you see it as a pro team?
Well, see, professional to me is I'm making money doing this.
You?
No, this is like if I'm saying I'm a professional something.
Okay.
This is how I make my living.
Okay.
I'm a professional guide. I'm fucking... Yeah. People are paying me to take a fishing, right? Like and you don't have to be a freaking NFL star. That's a professional football player. But also, if you're in the, whatever the other league is, it's, dudes are making $50,000-$80,000. Like, you're still a professional football player. And so if you're making money fishing, maybe you're not a guide, but you're fishing tournaments. Like, you're talking about these bass guys like Kevin Van Dam, like that's a professional angler, right? That dude's making a living being a fishing angler, and he's making that living because sponsors are paying for stuff, or they're giving him money, or he's getting commission-based sales because he's got a big audience. To me, that would be a professional staff or a professional, whatever you want to call it, right? All the other ones where it's, maybe I get a little discount, or maybe I get some free stuff here and there, and I'm posting and promoting, like I'm promoting these products for these guys, and in exchange they're like hooking me up with some stuff, right? That's kind of the traditional, like the more common relationship. that to me is like a promotional. So it's kind of just like a definition thing where it's like, hey man, this is what these words mean, at least as far as I understand. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but that's how I see it. And to me, the it's really the order of the exchange that has kind of ruined it for me in terms of like, if I'm throwing something and I like believe in it, and that's what I'm throwing because I choose to throw it, and I'm buying it, and I'm supporting the company, and I'm throwing it, and I'm getting pictures of the stuff I'm catching on it, and I'm promoting those. I'm putting pictures up. I'm telling my buddies about it, and it gets to a point where I'm just like, dude, these things are the truth. Like, let me freaking, hey, Mr. Whoever, right? I freaking love these baits, man. I've been promoting them all the time. I'm throwing this, I'm doing that, or even better, the company notices it and reaches out to you and says, hey, man, I've been seeing you taking pictures and, you're sending me a lot of cool content. You're making me sales. You're getting me into this tackle shop, or, these people called me and wanted to order because you told them about it, It says, hey, man, I'd like to kind of pay you back. I know you've been doing a lot of work. Basically, you're helping promote my business and I'm, getting returns from it. And I want to give you some of that. That to me is like a legitimate, because now when that guy goes and says, hey, man, yeah, I got a discount code or I'm a pro staff for this, whatever, it's like a legitimate, because he actually believes in those baits or she actually believes in those baits.
Yep.
I'm not saying gender, whatever, like just ignore that. I'm just using words. So
It's gender neutral.
people, whatever, man. You're gonna get offended. Honestly, I don't really care, but I'm not saying women can't fish. But that's my whole.
Because you do have the bro staff.
Yeah.
Is that still going on? The bro staff?
So that was kind of an idea that would be like the anti-pro staff.
Yeah.
There was like, there's no exclusivity to it.
Yeah.
If you throw my stuff, you want to send a picture in or whatever, congratulations, dude. You're on the pro staff.
Yeah.
Kind of not really been pushing that too hard. Just, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it was just kind of almost like a joke, like not the people, but just the whole idea of it was like anti, I didn't want this like exclusive, like
there's a lot of people that don't like that
snobby,
pro staff.
snobby kind of like looking down at other people because they're not pro staff.
Yeah.
And but just to back up before I get too far away from it, that relationship I just described where it's like mutual support that comes from a legitimate place, that's an awesome idea.
Right.
And I participate in that. Like I said, I got, dude, I got buddies that got me into tackle shops that I didn't even know about. And yeah, like I take care of them and stuff. And some of these guys I've given, discount codes and stuff to, and they've never used them, and they're still buying them. And just like, all I want is legitimacy. I don't want the other way where somebody starts a business, whatever, and then goes and messages 50 people and says, hey, man, I'm going to give you free stuff if you post about it.
Yeah.
And then that guy's only throwing that thing, right? Let's just use fishing lures. He's only throwing those lures because he's getting them from you for free. It wasn't, hey, I saw these and thought it was a good idea, or I saw this color I like.
Might not even be throwing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That where it's just totally illegitimate, and to warn anybody that may be listening about that kind of relationship too, man. The free stuff always runs out. There's always a limit to it where you just, and I see this all the time. I see it with people in rod companies. I see it with lure companies, and this is more garnered towards like, startup, like new companies that are kind of just trying to get the word out about their stuff. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea or not to do it. I'm just saying, like, if you expect to just get free stuff all the time and you're not at least getting some sales for the company, and it sounds may seem kind of crass, but you got to make money, man.
Yeah.
This business does not work if you ain't got some money coming in. It's from somewhere, something, somebody. And so if you get into one of these relationships and, you're not able to really make that small business any money, and you're also expecting free stuff, eventually it's like, hey man, I gotta make some sales. I don't just have endless products to just,
Yeah.
And so I've seen that relationship deteriorate a lot. And like I said, I'm not trying to direct this at anybody or, say it's a bad idea, whatever. Just be careful about it, And it's kind of advice too for anybody that's trying to get on a pro staff or get in with a company is it's like, look at what you can give that company. Look at what you can do for them. And then think like, okay, well, is it worth it for them? I ask people all the time. I get messages every day, multiple times a day. Messages, emails, texts, sponsorships. You want to sponsor me? You want to?
Sometimes it's from the same person every day.
Dude, like some dude in Iowa will just message me, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, dude!" Like, and I always ask him the same thing. I'm like, "What did you have in mind?" And nobody has an answer. Like ever. Nobody will give me an answer, and it's like, if the deal's good, all right, let's do it.
Right.
I'm willing to test anything, really. I mean, as far as business goes, I'll try it. If you're throwing them, that's my other question. You're throwing them before? No. Okay, then why are you?
Right.
If you've never thrown them before or even tried them, and you're asking me to be a sponsor, what?
Right.
Like what? Somebody explain to me how that works. The deal makes sense.
It's almost like they go down the line. Like they'll come into Roy's and they'll start at the first aisle and they'll start taking pictures of all these companies. And they're like, okay, I'm going to reach out to this dude and see if I can get a hit, right?
Copy, paste, paste until they find one that's...
Somebody will offer, I'll give you 5% off.
Yeah.
Oh, boom, shit. Yeah.
That's the lure they're going to throw out.
Oh, yeah. I'm diehard.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want people to see other people throwing my stuff. Like, oh, he's just doing that because he gets free stuff. Oh, he's just doing that because they whatever.
Right.
Like, no, dude. That guy's doing it because he chooses to, and he actually believes what he's telling you. He's not just... unfortunately, unfortunately, there is a lot of BS like that goes around.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with fishing, dude, it's so easy to throw another lure on the rod for the picture, or throw a pile there.
Somebody's winning good down there, dude.
Yeah, dude, they're giving away all sorts of crap, man.
Man, every hour on the hour, guys.
I didn't even know y'all had 2 more parking lots back here.
Yeah.
I didn't even make it into one of those. I'm literally in the field out back.
Yeah, you had to create your own parking.
I had to call the farmer, and I was like, hey, dude, don't tell me.
Hey, guess what?
Like,
I owe you for running over your corn over here.
Yeah, right. I'll buy a bushel when it's ready. But yeah, no, it's that's always kind of been my view on it. So I'm not like, I don't think it's a negative thing or a positive thing. I just always wanted at least my brand to be authentic. People that are throwing it because they want to. And another thing that I get from a lot of people too is you get into these, pro staffs or whatever, and those people only expect you to throw their stuff 100% of the time for the rest of your life.
I hate that.
And I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten from people. They're like, man, I was on with this, whatever. And that's typically guides, because I'm a guide. I throw lures. Okay, yeah, here, you're on your whatever.
Yeah. I had a company tell me one time that if I see you fishing and I go to your tackle bin or tackle box or whatever you hold your lures in, and I don't see my lure, and that's the only one there, then you're going to get dropped off the team.
Yeah. That's that to me is just, I mean? It's complete horseshit, man. I don't expect a single person to only throw my baits 24/7, 365. If you do, that's your choice. And I make that clear with everyone, and I got guides that, I mean, like I said, I literally just had one over the summer. I ran into him. I was going fishing one day. I ran into him at the dock. He's like, dude, I've been throwing your baits for like 4 years, man, like exclusive. And he's like, he's a guide. That's what he does for a living. Yeah. He's a professional guide, right?
Right.
And I've been using him for 4 years. He's been basically just buying them at tackle shops, paying full price, throwing them, never asked for anything. And I was like, why didn't you reach out or anything? He's like, man, whatever. And
so don't be hesitant to reach out.
Yeah, right? I mean, dude, if you're somebody that's been throwing them or whatever, and
if you believe in the brand,
and like I said, if the deal makes sense and it's authentic and it's like I said, dude, hey, dude, I've been throwing these for 4 years. I'm running 200 trips a year, and during the summer we run some croaker trips, but in the winter and everything, it's strictly wading. I'm using artificials, like. okay, man, cool. Like, come on by the shop, check out some stuff, say what's up. Like, I don't try to have an open door policy because I don't want a bunch of people crashing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and somebody like that, it's like, damn, okay. And when I was talking to him, I was like, hey, man, don't think I'm gonna freaking call you and chew you out because you were throwing a gold spoon one day.
Yeah.
Like it's literally happened so many times that I make it clear to people that reach out that, like, hey, man, look, this is not some exclusivity contract where you come in with a Down South or Kelly Wiggler or whatever other brand on. Like, I'm not gonna freaking call you and chew you out and never talk to you again. And I think that's just and I'm a 27-year-old dude saying this, so whatever. But I think it's a pretty immature way to go about it, where you're just like,
it's a good way.
I've heard literally the same conversation, man. The guide's calling me, dude. I came in and I had this on, and this dude called me and ripped me out, because I had whatever brand on, or I was throwing a top water or whatever. And
It's
I'm like,
just
dude,
fishing.
I had a dude tell me
It is a business, though. I mean, you are making money off this.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean.
You
have to be loyal at least to a certain point.
I just don't believe in trying to control people, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to throw my stuff and do your thing, and if you just decide, hey, like, this other thing's working better for me,
yeah,
no skin off my ass, dude.
Right.
Like, do your thing. Like, I don't hate you as a person because you decided to throw something else.
Yeah.
Even if you just stop using mine entirely. Like, as far as I'm concerned, man, it's a free market, and if your shit's better than mine, then people should be using it. But
what I'm worried about is how I'm going to get those items over here.
What?
Those giveaway items.
Oh,
pretty far, man. I mean, I don't know how.
This desk is pretty tall. I thought we were gonna have some chairs or something.
Yeah, I'm
man.
working on that, but
got the standing.
I feel like
desk.
if we
healthier.
sit, like they'll just be able to see the top of our heads if we sit.
Oh, back here, yeah. I mean, you can I don't know, take a couple inches off of this thing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna work on doing away with this.
We're gonna get some bar stools
and having like our own little section somewhere to where we could like have some sofas and
some
love seats,
a little lounge,
right? A little lounge area, hookah.
Just tell them,
you know what I mean? Hookah lounge area. You know what I'm talking about?
There you go,
man. But on that note, let's give something else away. Right?
Yeah,
I haven't even given away the Roy stuff yet. I think we might hold off on that. We're an hour and 22 minutes. Right? We're gonna give away another 5. You don't even have to be anywhere, right? Right. We're gonna next giveaway. We're about 5 hours into this.
Yeah, right. This is what I'm doing today.
We're gonna give away another 5 to 6 bags of AM lures. The first person to tell me what scent is infused.
It's not just on.
Yeah. What is it?
Harley.
We have a winner. We have an in-house winner.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Felix.
Felix, come in here, Felix.
Let's do one.
Get over here in the middle right here.
Let's do an online one too.
All right, we'll do an online.
Yeah. Perfect timing, man.
You're going to have to wait till the show's over, Felix, so I could take this down for you.
Yeah.
Felix is in the house. Where are you from, Felix?
Portland, Texas.
Portland, Texas.
Oh, nice.
Won.
You're a local.
Yep.
Good to meet you, Felix.
Yep.
Montgomery. Yeah.
You just won 5 bags of AM lures.
Heck yeah.
But I got to take these down for you because I don't see nobody at the fly shop. But
Okay.
so they won't attack. Because
Yeah.
we got security. We already had a run-in with them, all right? So
SPID over here.
we got about maybe 15, 30 more minutes. But
Okay.
But don't go nowhere, all right?
All right.
Thank you
I'll
so
be here.
much.
Yep. Appreciate it, man.
Good to talk to you, man.
Yep.
Congratulations. We're going to do
That was
another
awesome.
one for online. Right?
Yeah. He beat the upload.
Yeah. So we're going to say it again, right? Because we had some answers already come through. But we're going to say it again. All right. Hey, that's what it's about, guys. If y'all come into the show and see it live here, like this is live. Capital letter live. But if you're like enlarge it live and come in here and check it out enlargement live, then that's even better, right?
Yeah.
We might even up the price if you do that, right?
We got some live prizes.
We might even what was it, Felix? Right?
Felix.
We might even go look for that cap for Felix, right? Later on.
They're down there. I brought
they're
some.
down there somewhere. Felix is
They haven't given them away already.
yeah, they probably did it on the
They're just
hour to
like,
hour
oh, what are
giveaway.
these? Cool. Send them.
First person to tell me, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to change it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
New question for online viewers.
What episode number is this?
There you go.
Right? What episode number
See if they're
is this show? Right? First person to tell me is going to win 5 to 6 bags of AM fishing lures. Austin Matthews.
There you go. I was gonna say rewind.
Austin Matthews is the winner.
Should have brought some more baits, man.
I need to make sure Felix is following the show.
Yeah, right.
If he is,
Must be following to win.
guess what, Felix? You do not win.
Yeah, right.
Better hit that QR code,
Sorry,
Felix.
buddy.
Right. Moving on a little bit, man. Before we wrap this thing up, first and foremost, congratulations to Roy's Bait and Tackle. Right, 50 years in the fishing business. That is amazing, right? In its own. Congratulations to the staff, the management team, and of course the fishing team, right? Without the support, with everybody's support, the viewers, right? The people that come in here and shop, the people that are cruising down to the island, the people that are cruising down to on vacation, right? That just never been a Roy's Bait and Tackle. Thank everybody. Thank all of you all that make this happen, that made the 50 years happen. Austin asks, Austin rule. I'm not too sure what the hell that means. Austin rule.
Austin, what's the
Austin rule? Austin?
like? What
Rule?
is like
Question mark?
Like what is the Austin rule?
I'm not sure. Oh no, Tony Young says that.
Keep it weird.
Yeah, keep
That's,
it weird.
That's the Austin rule, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's
That dude that used to dance on the street and stuff.
I don't even know. Dude.
Right.
I haven't been to Austin in like 27 years.
What sets your lure apart from the sea of lures?
Nice. Is that a viewer question or one of yours?
No, that's mine.
Okay. Just need to know who to talk to.
No, you can talk to them.
Yeah, no. So we've got obviously the garlic scent that's infused into the baits. It's not just like a coating on the outside, and it's not like just mixed in with the plastic before it's shot. Because if it's just a coating on the outside, man, you throw it once or twice, man, it's gone. Like it's not there anymore. If you mix it in with the plastic,
Oh, I'm gonna stop you real quick. He meant Austin. A couple of shows ago, we made a rule that Austin couldn't win because Austin
that
wins all the
dude.
time. Austin Matthews. So we said, hey, guess what? You can't win, Austin. I think that's
Yeah.
what he's talking.
Oh, dang.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna. Austin already won once, so Austin cannot win.
No more
Anymore.
wins for Austin
Yeah,
today.
no more. Sorry, Austin.
Yeah. New
But if
Austin
we find
rule.
out that you leave the show, you're not winning your prize.
Yeah,
Your first
you have to stay here to the end.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and review the footage. Right? I'm sorry, man. Keep
Yeah,
going.
no worries. So we got the whole idea is that, you know, what can we put into them to build on? Like I said, you can't reinvent the wheel, right?
Right.
But what can we add to it, right? Like how can we make it a little bit better? And if you think about it just in terms of percentages, and I'll get into like the specifics here in just a second, but just the overall idea is like if we can increase your odds even 1% of getting a bite by adding this to it, or another 1% with this other thing, or maybe 2% with this thing. The numbers are arbitrary, but it just kind of compounds, right? And so you got just that little edge, and then you multiply that times 600 casts, you know, or 400, or however many you do in a day. And it's like, oh, dang. Every second that thing's in the water, I've just got that much more, you know? And so that'll make a little more sense when I kind of get into what I'm talking about. So, you know, I guess the first thing I'll harp on is the garlic. You know, it's infused into the plastic. It stinks, dude. It's freaking garlicky, man. Don't leave them in your truck, like especially if it's hot.
I was about to say, what does the warehouse smell like?
Oh, dude, I don't even like when I'm cooking. I don't smell garlic anymore. Like
Oh, really?
I can't even.
Like, does your wife get pissed off and like, man, dude, I'm tired of this? Or
She's pretty cool about it.
hey, take a shower before you come home. Or...
yeah, right. Have a shower at the shop. Yeah, no, I just kind of just waft it.
Right.
Yeah, no, she's cool about it. It is pretty pungent
because it's intense.
Because we've got like
a lot of people are like, hey, well, I'm gonna bite this thing. No, you're not.
Don't do that.
Right? You're not gonna bite it. It's not that type of garlicky.
Don't eat it. It's
to where it's like a Pizza Hut garlicky.
It smells like a Pizza Hut, but
this is garlicky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty tight, man. And we actually got.
Is it supposed to smell good? Like when I come into Roy's and I open the bag.
If you like garlic,
dude,
yeah.
because
if not, then I mean, you're probably not gonna like it too much.
I mean, I get the whole garlic. You know what I mean?
Ram's a vampire.
Yeah, I might just pass out
It's
right
freaking,
here, right?
yeah,
I mean, I
nose
get
is
the whole that,
burning
man,
right now.
dude. That's garlic, dude.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
it won't wear off either. I mean, there's like it's in the plastic. It'll smell like that, and it won't wear off. I mean, you just keep fishing it. I've washed those in like shorts before, and they still smell like garlic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the garlic, like we were talking about earlier, you know, the scent does a couple of things. You know, it covers up bad scents.
Oh, yeah.
And it attracts them. You know, some days they just really are keying in on scent for whatever reason.
All right.
And I noticed that before we had scented baits and we were adding it to them. You know, some days it really made a big difference.
Yeah.
But having it there all the time never hurts you. And so it's like, okay, so we got that. You know, you can attract them with the scent.
Or off.
Um,
Off is another one that you
oh
can
yeah,
put on.
bug spray or
Yeah.
whatever else. I mean, it'll. I'm sure there's limits. I mean,
That's
I'm not
another croaker
spraying
killer
them.
right
I'm
there,
not
dude.
spraying them down with bug spray or anything. And
Yeah.
but you know, anything that might happen to get on there. So you got that, right? So you got the scent. That's kind of sets it apart from a lot of other soft plastics. And another thing, they are just like a regular plastisol bait. You know, it's not going to shrivel up like a gulp or something.
Oh, yeah. I
Then
don't
anyway,
like that, man.
so the
Or
other
melt.
thing,
Will it melt?
no, it won't
You
melt.
leave it in your
It
side
won't.
of your truck door or something?
No, nothing like that. There are some plastics that some baits are made out of where like that bait will react and melt, but like these, I mean, you can mix them with
Yeah, like
other
the Z-Man.
soft plastic.
You
Oh,
put
yeah.
a Z-Man next to any bait,
It'll melt.
it's gonna melt
Yeah.
into that bait.
Oh yeah, that real stretchy stuff.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
think-
have like your own little bag or your own little tackle bin. I'm not sure if one
Yeah.
of these bins is one of those.
I think the egrets will do that too. They got like the
Doesn't
I don't know.
say.
They typically warn you on there. So
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
yeah, I mean, I won't say they won't get melted by one of those, but my baits won't melt, man. They're not gonna stick together. You can mix them with other soft plastics, keep them in a bag or whatever. They're not
Yeah.
gonna. So yeah, there's that. That's probably a good thing to clarify for people.
Right.
So yeah, you got the scent. You know, it's just a regular plastic bait, and then another thing, if you've seen my brand anywhere, we've got I don't even know how many off the top of my head, but well over 20 colors that have some sort of a glow incorporated into them. And the glows started from night fishing, you know, and there's like bioluminescent bacteria and stuff out there. And so there was some nights you could see like the mullet swimming away. Like anytime the water was moved, it would light up. So we started doing some glows that kind of mimic that. And then they were working better during the day, which is kind of weird. And it was like, damn, dude, this color with the glow in it is doing better than the same color without the glow in it. What's going on? And it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. That stuff's different underwater.
Right.
Light gets filtered out pretty quick. So if you don't know how color works, like the shirt's black because it absorbs all the different light rays except for the black, and it reflects the black, you know, whatever wavelength that is. So you see it as black. You know, your shirt's like a grayish kind of. It's one of those in between colors.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's like a bluish, whitish.
Yeah, so whatever the color is, right? It's reflecting those light rays, and then
Badass-ish.
yeah, it's super badass, man. Sims for the win. I actually
Oh yeah,
jumped up
man, that's amazing. Yeah.
repping over here, but so if the colored, it's not colored light. It's a bad way to put it, but just for ease of like understanding, right? The different wavelengths we see as different colors.
Mhm.
So the colors that get filtered out don't disappear. Like your bait's not going to be invisible, but it's just going to kind of be this like gray, like, you know, blended in with everything else
Yeah, like a
thing.
shadow kind of do.
And when you start looking at all the different colors, and this is like proven science, very easy to, you've got, you know, like reds and greens and stuff get filtered out, yellows, and then start getting into like blues and purple is like the last ones that get filtered out. And then you got ultraviolet light, UV light. And UV light travels further than all the rest. And if you look at like the light wave spectrum, the UV light has like a really high frequency. So it's like a stronger ray that's getting pushed in there, basically, just an easy explanation of it. And this is actually science is starting to come out. But a lot of like marine creatures, especially like reef fish and stuff, have a we don't have a color receptor that can pick up on UV light. We can't see it, but fish do because it travels further underwater. So it's like, all right, well, fish that have that color receptor can see basically stuff further underwater that's reflecting UV light, and all the glows reflect UV light. And so during the day, the UV light from the sun's hitting those and bouncing off, and they can see that the color, the glowing color, whatever it is that they see, they can pick it out from further away as far as like what science goes and just my personal experience. So it's kind of like, okay, well, if we can get them to notice it from a little further away than they would have, that's going to increase your chances a little bit, right? Because if they don't see it, they ain't going to hit it.
Right.
And this is all kind of the theories behind it. So you got the scent that's giving you a little bit extra. You got the glows that are giving you a little bit extra. And it's not just the glows. I mean, we've got UV reflective stuff and a lot of the other ones too. It just matters. It's a big thing. And so yeah, that's kind of another thing that sets us apart. And it's kind of funny with that knowledge, you can look back and be like, oh, like what's one of the most popular colors, at least in saltwater fishing across everywhere? It's like purple.
Right.
Purple's like the last visible color for us to be filtered out before you, because that's violet, and then you get to ultraviolet, right? So okay, shit, maybe purple is just such an awesome color because
So there's y'all did some thinking. It wasn't just, you know what,
we did a lot of testing.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this works. I wonder why. And then later on, I've kind of been curious and, oh, well, this is kind of a theory that explains that, right? In the beginning, it was just like, well, this color works better without the glows than without it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just does. And
Right.
apparently it works better for everybody else too because they keep using them. So, and then the scent too, like I said, I mean, the garlic was something. So you've got those two things that are just always there and always working for you. And so whether it increases your odds 5% or 10% or 1% or 100%, I'm sure that varies day to day, but it's always helping you out at least a little bit. And then just the design of the bait itself. I mean, it's not anything revolutionary, but it's just another little piece of the puzzle where it's like, hey, you've got this longer, like jerk shad style body with this little bitty curly tail in the back. For a lot of curly tails, you have like a little short, stubby, like grub body with a big old curly tail. So you can really only kind of rig it on a standard jig head. You can kind of just reel it in or maybe jig it. With this longer body, you can rig it up weedless, jig head, drop it under a cork. You can literally like do anything with it. I mean, and you could bump it on the bottom. You can just kind of slow roll it, twitch it, pause it, whatever. And something at least wade fishermen will like is that curly tail actually kind of helps keep the bait up in the water column instead of letting it just go straight down. It's like a little bit of resistance on the back where you can kind of just give it like little taps and just kind of keep your line relatively tight, and it'll kind of just hop along horizontally. And so you got just a real versatile design basically. And you can just reel it. I mean, and this is another thing that I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back or anything, but I get a lot of people that are like, dude, it was just laying there on the bottom and they swam up and ate it, or the cork was just sitting there and they ate it. And it's like, whoa, because any little current or the cork bobbing there or whatever, that tail's just gonna move. It's always moving. It's always just wiggling around. Curly tails are everywhere for a reason. And it's just that little bit of action. It's not a big, crazy flopping around thing. It's just always kind of back there.
Just the right amount, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at like a mullet that's swimming, like its tail's not doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's like jacked up or something. But I mean, it's just barely. You can just barely notice it. A lot of their tails are like translucent. You can barely even see them. But that curly tail is just always back there, kind of just kicking around, wiggling around a little bit. Even if it's not really moving, it's just kind of so you kind of got that little bit of action, and just the bait you could do a lot of different things with. And then the way we designed it too, and the plastic we use, they're pretty damn durable. Like we didn't want to have a super soft, fall apart, get pecked in half kind of bait. And The curly tails actually,
We just had a comment earlier about how durable they were.
yeah. So the curly tail is actually designed where, actually, I could show you really quick. This was that little bitty jig head I was talking about earlier too. It's that owner makes these. It's labeled as a 1/16, but it's just a tiny little freaking. Anyway, if you like to fish slow and shallow like I do, but the tails here, live demonstration. If you pull it from the back, it breaks like where you're holding it from, not like at the base of the tail.
Mhm.
So if you're getting like short struck and stuff, I mean, you can
Still got tail.
you know, and you still got to give that something to get it off. But so I just got two little short strikes that pulled it hard enough to break it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if y'all can see that color, but it just breaks right at the very end instead of breaking off the whole tail. And
Yeah.
I can just keep doing that. And so you don't have your whole curly tail still, but that's still going to just be kicking around back
Mhm.
there. So you got that. And then, I mean, if they do end up, you know, popping the whole thing off, I mean, you've got
Now you got a
you've,
jerk.
you've got a little John, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's just a little twitch bait.
Yeah.
Just if you're catching so many fish, you end up losing your tail. Then
I mean, come on.
they're gonna keep hitting this.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
And if you fish these on like a screw lock, like I
What
got
size of
here,
hook is that? 2?
it's a 1/0.
One?
I mean, it's a hook size is like the super abstract thing. It's like different for every company. So they call this a 1/0.
Okay.
It would probably be more like a 2/0 for
Yeah.
most. But yeah, it's got a wide gap and a short shank on it, so I like it a lot. Fits them pretty well. Again, it's an owner inshore slam series. If anybody wants to look them up.
The times I've used your bait,
Mhm.
I use a size 4.
Like a number 4 or a 4/0?
4/0.
That's kind of big.
Screw on.
Yeah.
CPS center.
Oh yeah, the little.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whatever works for you. You know, I like a little bit shorter. I kind of tend to try to use the smallest one possible. Just because I like a little bit like more low profile jig head, and some people like a little heavier, a little bit longer.
Mhm.
Totally don't think that matters at all.
Right.
Just what you're comfortable with, what you got confidence in. My big thing is I can fish this jig head for a freaking month, and it's not going to be all rusted and broken off on me. So,
Yeah.
you know, jig head's a jig head, man. You're not going to reinvent the wheel on that one. You can just put out a really high quality one. And but anyway, yeah, I would definitely recommend using them on a screw lock, because even then too, I mean, if you like really try to, you know, I mean, I was really pulling on that.
And even at that, whatever's left could still be used as a.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this is just the body.
Because then
obviously.
you still have the scent, right?
Yeah, and I don't have any like. There's no hook slots or anything in there either. So the hook slot just basically weakens the bait. I don't really care what people want to tell you about it or try to sell you on it.
Right.
It's a thinner.
Yeah, less
piece that's gonna be the weak.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, this is just like half the body, but you know, I mean, you can try to pull that. It's not indestructible, but nothing is. So, so that's kind of how we put it all together. It's like, all right, you got this real versatile design. It's durable, so you can just keep, you know, and you got the garlic in the scent, and then the glow's just kind of always working for you.
Mm-hmm.
And to touch on the UV light thing again, man, like I'm sure you fished under the lights
plenty of time,
and you can see all those little shrimp eyes.
Yeah,
like those are gonna reflect UV light too.
Yeah.
You know, and there's actually a documentary on Netflix, or it was on Netflix. I saw it a couple years ago called Life in Color, and they have like a section in there. It's just like a wildlife documentary about how different creatures see things.
Yeah.
And they have a section in there where they have a UV camera and they take
stripped out how they figure it out.
They take it underwater. It's like a UV filtered camera. And they show these they're like these little reef fish, and there's like these 2 yellow ones, and they're identical.
Yeah.
And then they show them on the UV camera, and one's got like all these crazy spots, and the other one just has like this little line by its head. And it's like, oh no, these are 2 separate species. But you can't see it unless you can see UV light.
Yeah.
So when they show it on the camera that's filtered for it, you can see that UV light reflected. And it's like, oh, okay, well that makes more sense. And so it's like this stuff's coming out, right? I mean, I haven't done a ton of research to try to find like evidence or anything, but that's a really good little, especially like wildlife documentaries with, you know, David Attenborough's soothing British voice.
You're not talking about the guy that does America's Ugliest Jobs, or what is it?
Oh, that's
Dirtiest Jobs?
Mike Rowe. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is
He's got more like of a like a DJ voice. Like, right? Like
Yeah, he does a lot of narrating. No, David Attenborough does like Planet Earth and all those.
the old man,
Yeah,
older man voice.
That's that guy.
Yeah.
He's like a
He would make
whatever.
a horrible country singer. Right.
But yeah, he's the one that narrates that documentary. So I mean, it's super legit. And they do all kind. They talk about like how BC and crap. It's kind of just, but that little segment where they just show the kind of just what I'm talking about here. And so yeah, when you start thinking about real popular colors, that it's like, oh, dude, purple chartreuse, even chartreuse was fluorescent.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, what's chartreuse? Nothing chartreuse, but like that UV light's hitting it, and maybe it's getting reflected green or something, and that's how the fish are seeing it. And it's like, oh, they can see that further away than just some other little whatever, this gray little blob. And so that's why we've spread the glows out. And this is another question I'd kind of like to address too for everybody that would see it is it's not necessarily about how bright it glows. I've got black color, it's black and then it glows green. And it's like, all right, well, that's the colorant's gonna filter out a little bit of the glow, right?
Right.
But it's still reflecting that UV light. Like, it's still helping you. And so I'm not necessarily trying to make this the brightest glowing color. I do have some that
because you do have a light.
Oh yeah, I've got a UV light that just charges up the glows. Like if you're night fishing and you just hit it with a UV light real quick, I mean they'll be like charged
but if you're
up.
fishing the
glowing,
day, the sun will do it for you.
Yeah, I mean you don't really need it during the day. It's literally just a simple, pretty economical little tool to charge them up if you're night fishing. It's better than like dangling them up by the pure lights or something. I'm freaking. But yeah, so that's that, and I do have stuff that's just straight glow, and they're bright as shit.
Just full blown glow.
Just glow. There's nothing in it but the glow, and that's it. And it's but then yeah, when you get a lot of the regular standard colors, it's like, oh, it doesn't glow. I mean, they all glow, but maybe it's not as bright as this other one. And it's like, well, yeah, because that one's just glow.
Yeah, if you need glow, we got glow.
Yeah, but it's like if I want a white and chartreuse color, like, and then I also mix glow in with it, so you have that UV, reflectiveness during the day, and I mean at night it's still going to glow. That's not going to be as bright as if I just went straight green glow, and so I got both, but if you want colors during the day that also have it, that's kind of what the deal is there. It wasn't trying to make everything glow super bright. It was like you just need it there for the UV light to bounce off of it and to help get it noticed a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we
adds to the percentage.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, to be honest, we tried all sorts of different crap that didn't make it into the baits because it was just like, this is cool, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. There was plenty of that stuff too. But that was the whole idea. It was just like, what can we add to these baits to make them better? And we weren't necessarily trying to sell anything.
Yeah,
there's a couple tackle shops that like literally were calling us asking like what the baits were, where we were getting them from, and it's like, oh, we're making them, It's like, well, sell us some, dude. It's like, no, like this is like the secret weapon, Eventually just said screw it, and we put like 100 bags total in 3 different tackle shops. So like each shop got like 30 bags, and then they just kept calling us, and then more started calling us, and then people were like, dang, these things are working good. And, it kind of had that like new thing wave, but then they actually, worked pretty good for people. So the wave kind of just kept flowing. And, it hasn't just been this Cinderella easy story. Like, business is fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
Like,
this is what you do for a living.
I've been doing this 100% full time for 4 solid years.
Wow. That's another thing that sets you apart.
Yeah, it'll be 4. It'll be a full 4 at the end of this.
Because some people do it like on the side.
Yeah, I mean, it started off on the side, and within 6 months, it was like, yeah, this isn't part time anymore.
Yeah,
which is awesome. But yeah, I won't sit here and try to act like I don't know how it may have seemed from the outside, like, oh, they just came out with this, cool curly tail thingy, and then it took off, and it's like, no. First off, we put a lot into it before it even came out. I mean, before I got really serious with the business, I mean, I was pulling 100 trips a year just fishing, man.
Yeah.
that's a conservative estimate. You know, I fish all the time, dude. That's all I like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thankfully been a little bit busier now, and you know, there's growing pains and stuff that I need to be around to solve, and just endless problems and stuff. But
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes to even make the business work that nobody understands unless you've actually been in the ring. And I'm not some super successful like multimillionaire yet either, but
Yeah.
even just the simplest, smallest little businesses that you a little coffee shop you go into, or you know, my girlfriend's got a nail salon, and I mean, it's like you have no idea, man. There's just layers and layers and layers of shit going on all the fucking time that
Man, so
nobody
if she
sees
works at
and
a nail
nobody.
salon,
She owns a nail salon.
that's a scent in its own.
Yeah, she's got her own nail salon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, her family has a couple of them. You know, they came over here and kind of built them up, and
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. But it's just a highlight. Like, you could easily walk into some place and be like, "Oh, well, you just hang out here and make coffee all day." Like, no, dude, that machine right there costs 18
Oh
grand,
yeah.
and I got to keep all these supplies coming in. I've got 47 different milks that I got to have ready for you heathens, and I got to have 4 different sweeteners, and
Yeah, you want the foam on top.
dude, and the thing with business that I've learned in my, again, limited, you know, I've only been in business really for like 5 years, and I've had other, like, you know, entrepreneurial hobbies, I guess, but I'm not just serious, like actually having a business. It's only been a few years, and you learn pretty quick, man, that it's a masterclass in balance. I'm not talking work life. I'm talking like if your sales get cut in half, you're like, oh fuck, dude. At the same time, if your sales double, you're also probably even more like, oh fuck, dude,
Yeah.
because now you have to adjust everything in the business
yeah.
to whatever the new flow is.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
have
you
to,
can't be
and
happy about
I'm
or
speaking
excited.
from experience on both of those, where it's like, dude, if your sales gets cut in half, like, hopefully you're not leveraged. Hopefully you don't have any debt. Hopefully you're not, you know, overextended, and
Yeah.
you know, something like that kills you. And at the same time, if your sales double, it's like, damn, dude, now I got to reorder twice as much.
Yeah.
I got to crank production up twice as
And you
much.
might not have no money for that.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything, and that's a good point too, because everything costs money. Dude, you can't lift a fucking finger without paying for it. And
Yeah.
and it's either money, hard money going out, or it's time and effort. And dude, I can't tell you how many, and this is just going to be a cliche, like, you know, business story. I can't tell you how many times I've been out there in the warehouse till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, trying to fix pumps, or, you know, trying to catch up,
Just maintaining the machine.
or dude, yeah, like, and everything that you could even imagine that can go wrong will at some point. And it's like the bonfire just never, like, it never gets put out. It's just a constant fire that you're just managing, and it's you know, that's what I'm saying. There's kind of like the two sides to it, where it's not just like you can just go all out in this one direction and just, you know, boom, 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 because then you're gonna, you know, mess up the back end.
Mhm.
You know, and then you can apply this to the whole business. You can apply it to, I could go hard at sales and blow up sales, but then if I can't get those orders out in a reasonable amount of time, everybody's gonna be pissed off, and the
Right.
back end's gonna be blown up, right? But if you don't have sales, you don't live. You die.
You got people helping you in the
fucking
shop?
quick. Yeah, I've got 3 now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's another thing too. You start taking on employees. Now you got payroll to make. It's not just you. And yeah, dude, it's like, it's just a minefield.
Even those employees want to get paid.
Yeah, well, yeah, dude.
You know what I'm
Like,
saying?
if you're going to work, you want to get a paycheck,
like,
right?
look,
And it's like, well,
You're gonna work for us, but this is kind of be like a bro staff. You know what I mean?
yeah, right. That would be nice. But that's kind of what I was saying in the beginning. I kind of touched on it, where it's like, when you first start off, it is really simple. You got a freaking little machine, and it's you and your garage, and that's where we started. Dude, we had a,
Just hand pouring it.
we bought I think the machine cost like $2,000, just a couple of like warming pots basically, and a aluminum injector, and yeah, hand injecting everything. I mean, I personally made every single lure we sold until February this year.
Oh wow.
I made every single one of them. In the beginning, that was hand injected. Dude, I was literally 12 hours a day not sitting down, not eating lunch, showed up at 8, left at 8,
Man.
you know, ran to freaking Cane's or whatever before they closed and woke up and did it the next day. And that was basically year 1 in 2019 with that machine. At the end of that year, it was like, you know, it kind of slows down a little bit for winter. And it was like, dude, if this happens next year and I got to go all summer like this and probably even worse, I'm going to die. Like, and so we ended up getting, you know, we found a big, and this was another thing too, dude. It's like, there's no, oh, well, here's the next machine, or here's how you do this, or here's how you do that. It's all just fucking figure it out, bro. Like,
Right.
you're just eating shit sandwiches every day, like, learning to enjoy it. And okay, thankfully we got this machine, you know, get the money for it, whatever. Um, and then COVID happened. We had actually just moved into a warehouse too. We had moved out of the garage into a warehouse, signed a lease, got this machine that we, you know, borrowed a little bit of money for, not too much, just a little bit. Boom, whole world ends. This was March 2020 that we did all this. And then April, boom, gone. Everything shut down. Airlines going out of business. Everybody's gonna die. You know, don't need to rehash that for everybody. It was like, oh shit. Okay, well, see what happens. And then it opened back up, and everybody had money and free time and fishing. That actually kind of helped us. It was like this huge drawback, and then
Oh yeah.
um, and dude, we got that machine, and it was just like, well, here's how it works. Have fun. Not there's no shot time. It's all, you know, it's all varies based on what plastic you're using and what your bait looks like. And so, dude, I mean, it's like, oh damn, now I got to figure out how to run this thing. Now I got to figure out how to do it efficiently. And I'm wasting plastic, and I'm losing freaking money here, and I'm out here spending time doing this, you know. And I blew this pump up, and I blew that hose up, and I broke this and broke that, and I basically almost rebuilt the whole damn machine, you know, over the course of a year because I just kept fucking shit up on it. And that's all the stuff that like people don't see, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
freaking, it gets fucking ugly
And
sometimes.
still,
Like, it's cool, but
they'll
it's
want more. They want free bait.
it gets fucking ugly, and that's kind of part of it too. Is it's like if you were there with me at 1:30 in the morning
Yeah.
with plastisol all over your hand, which I can only describe as somebody mixing milk and like olive oil. If you can imagine what that substance would be
Oh
like,
yeah.
that's about what raw plastisol is like. And you're taking this pump apart, and it's just dumping everywhere, and you're trying to find out where the clog is, or the diaphragm popped, or dude, I was running them too high pressure and like blew out the side of one of them, and it was just like, dude, man, it's like, and it's just super cliche because it's that old, you know, Rocky thing, you know, you get knocked down 8 times, get up 9, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
you just have to be ready to keep just it, and stuff that you couldn't even imagine is going to happen, is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we got started. But yeah, and I when I started, I had a partner, and he ended up wanting out last year, so we got that deal done at the beginning of this year, which is why I made every single bait up until February, because that was my half of the business was production. Which anyway, but yeah, so that's how it all kind of happened, and then we had a freeze in 21.
And we
So
killed all the jam.
basically, like the first 2 like
Nobody needed AM lures because there was no more trout. to catch.
first 2 like rock and roll years, you know, because 2019 was like going from 0 to like building it up still and everything. We just kind of, like I said, it happened on accident. It was like, oh shit, people want them. Oh god, they want more of them. How do we make more of these things?
Yeah.
And just to put some numbers to it too, man. And this is where a lot of people are going to get stuck with the lure companies too. And just a forewarning for you, that initial machine is $2,000, and then going from that to something else, you're at this point, you're looking at a minimum of like 50 to 60, sometimes upwards of $100,000 investment. And it's like, just, and that's whether you get your baits outsourced and produced elsewhere because they have minimum orders, or if you decide to get a production machine and move into a warehouse and do it yourself. That's what you're looking at,
Right.
and that's a big fucking jump. It's not like you got a $2,000 machine that's doing 250 bags a day, and then you can get a $5,000 machine that's doing, you know, 400 bags a day, and it's like you there's not a, you're not working your way up. It's like, you know, welcome to the Thunderdome. It's like
Yeah,
want to
it's
get
a big
serious, or
deal,
you want to
yeah.
hang out in the garage. And there's nothing wrong with either one, man. You know, you can,
It ain't something where you're just gonna pick it up one day and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna make me
you
a
know,
couple baits.
I
You're gonna
mean,
do this for
I,
a living, or
and as far as my personal belief on business, man, I mean, I hear stuff from people like, man, I think only like 30% of people are cut out for it, or there's only 10% of people that can really handle a business. And it's like, okay, probably right. But like, how many people could set up that $2,000 machine in their garage and get, you know, a cool bait that, you know, works
Yeah.
locally, and get a few local shops to pick it up and make $37,000 a year working from home out of their garage,
Yeah.
or make 47,000 or 52, or, and be in control of your life. That's something I've always kind of wanted, was control over myself, basically. And, you know, your two options are to start your own shit, or, you know, go work for somebody else. And there's varying levels of control, and you might be fine with either one, you know. No shame in either one. I mean, I don't think either one is worse. I think you just got to know yourself and just understand that, like, if you really want control, the only way to do that is to start your own thing,
Right.
and to go out on your own. And even then, you don't really have full control, because, dude, I don't want to be there at midnight, but
Yeah.
sometimes I have to.
Yeah.
But I can also drive up here and do this, you know.
Yeah.
Or I gotta, whatever, you know, your son has a baseball game at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. You don't have to like put in for PTO or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the other side of the coin's like, I work from 8 to 5, 5 days a week. And I don't have to worry about shit on Saturday. You know,
Right.
I don't have to worry about shit on
Hitting the water
at 5:30, bro. Don't call me. You know, I'm on my phone all day long, dude, every day. And you kind of got a little bit of this, and you'll have to kind of pardon me for it. But it's like, dude, I manage all messages coming in and out, everything. Facebook, Instagram, text, phone call, you know, shop, chat, like all this stuff. And it's like, just to throw some arbitrary numbers, if I've got like 50 message replies in me for the day and I get 75 messages, it's like, all right, man, I'm gonna have to
Yeah, I found it easier just to message you on
I'm
Instagram
gonna have to roll those over.
and Facebook
Best way is just call me, dude.
and text and TikTok,
Yeah,
and just throw some random
just
dude at,
send like
on
50
YouTube.
at me.
Just
Yeah.
hopefully you're watching that video on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Like I say, you just kind of have to excuse it, because it is just, I mean, I try to make myself very accessible. You know, I don't try to hide behind my website or anything too. So people need issues with anything, or, you know, questions or whatever, they can, there's plenty of places to ask.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of people, kind of like with the fishing thing, they get overwhelmed and they think, oh, well, you see Elon Musk. It's like, I could never do that. Like, I don't know if I could ever do that. You know,
He's in Robstown now.
I'm not trying to shoot a freaking rocket to Mars, but dude, like, could you get something started out of your garage, or out of your kitchen, or out of your extra bedroom?
But he's one of them guys that's like,
Yeah,
he could do that.
But yeah, 100%. I mean, there's
You know what I'm
there's
saying?
people
You know what I
that are
mean?
on another spectrum, you know.
Yeah,
and
you ain't
he's,
gonna see him at a
you know,
quinceañera on
he's
the
one of
weekend.
them. But yeah, and it's like, I just feel like when people hear business and, you know, entrepreneur, and it's kind of a, you know, at least on social media and stuff, it's been sensationalized. It's like, hey, man, like, it's brutal sometimes, but if you want control, that's the only way to do it. But it's like, bro, if you could, whatever you really like to do, like, whatever it is, I don't care, like, whatever hobby, like, if you really like to bake, you know, you think somebody will give you $10 for a freaking badass pie? Like,
Oh yeah,
you
especially
think,
if it's at the Frio.
you think you could find 10 people to do that, and then
Maybe.
get 5 of those people to do that every month?
Yeah.
And then, okay, how do I find 100 people? You know, how do I, you know, if you like really enjoy baking, and you realize that, like, oh shit, man, I'm like 6 to 12 to 18 months away from, just say you make, you know, 41 grand at whatever job you're doing. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, but what if you made 38 baking cakes in your freaking kitchen, dude?
Yeah.
And that's what you really
love
like.
that shit.
Yeah.
Every now and then you're getting a little bit. Right?
And I'm not saying think small, right? I'm not saying to just stay there. I mean, you might turn into Crumble Cookies, you know, it's a freaking $1 billion cookie company, 5 years. But if that's how, if you yourself are like, dang, dude, I wish I could, like, you can. Just don't think that you got to go from 0 to 20 million tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to happen, first off.
Baby
but
steps.
I just expect it to just be absolutely brutal every step of the way.
Right.
And But once you figure some shit out, you're making a living baking cakes. And if that's enough for you, and that's like makes you happy, and you're like, hell yeah, dude, I can do this, and then I can still make my son's game on Friday night, or I take my daughter to gymnastics or whatever. Like, yeah, dude, that's so just attainable. And really anything, dude. I mean, anything you really like. I really like to fish, and like I almost started doing rods before AM fishing started.
Oh wow!
So I was kind of.
What would you have called that?
I don't know, dude. I literally just kind of the same thing with the lures. I kind of went through the same process with the rods for myself. I don't really sell them or anything, so don't ask. But
the rods you throw are your own wrapped rods.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And I don't do any like fancy crap or anything. I just, I found some blanks I liked, and kind of built it this way and rebuilt it that way. And I went to college. I was kind of like the opposite of like the freaking the feel good story. I was like the first generation to not finish college. I went to college for like 3 months, and I tell you, everybody's like, I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to get out. And I got out. I was like, fuck this, dude.
Yeah.
Bass fishing ain't doing it for me. Too far from the salt water.
College.
I thought I was going to be like an engineer, and I was like looking at derivatives.
Because you kind of are an engineer.
I was looking at
just without the degree.
Yeah, I'm like a simple engineer. Simple. Yeah. It's kind of funny. So my brother actually is an engineer. Anyway, but yeah, I came back, and I know I like to fish, so I kind of bought and sold fishing shit for a while, like off eBay and Facebook, and just kind of worked, 6 months here, 8 months there, just kind of trying to figure shit out. And I was like, well, I just want to get into the fishing somewhere. So I went and I started working at Hook, Line, and Sinker in Harlingen. That's where I learned to like fix
just
rods.
In sales or what?
No, I just learned how to fix rods and shit. And I was doing that and helping people around the shop and just trying to, because dude, like if you just get in the world, you'll meet people.
Yeah.
If you're not a piece of shit, you're not going to be screwing people over and like,
Yeah, just walking through here. If you just walk through here all day long.
Yeah, even if you just hang out at Roy's and you just talk to people and
you don't even got to sell them anything.
Yeah, see what you can do for people, ask them questions, whatever. Like, yeah, you might get freaking shut down and you're not going to get along with everybody, but kind of just get in the world and give yourself a chance to.
Some people might just want to talk,
Yeah, and just give yourself the chance to figure something out, and that's kind of what I ended up doing is like, well, I don't really care how much money I make right now. I'm just going to try to get into it and I'll figure something out. So yeah, I was just learned how to build rods and everything there. And after about a year, I started, really trying to play around with it for myself and putting stuff together and whatnot. And then ended up starting AM fishing kind of around that same time. So, but dude, that was, I think like within 18 months after I started working at Hook, Line, and Sinker, we started AM fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's not a long time, and
they're giving away something else down there.
Yeah, they keep freaking racking them up, dude.
I say every hour. Dude.
Yeah,
every hour.
It's been at least twice since we started. But yeah, no, that's just. I just feel like a lot of people. And again, if you're freaking stoked and you love your job and you're hanging out, do what makes you happy, man. I'm not trying to judge or say what you should do. I'm just saying for the people that feel stuck and they're not really happy about it or cool with where they're at or they're not feeling excited about life or anything anymore, it's like you got to have some hobby, man. Something you like, something that you just enjoy doing.
Outside.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is. You got to have something you like doing. And dude, one of the guys that works for me loves to golf, and he'll buy like limited edition golf clubs that come out and like golf
little holder.
Like covers for the club.
A little warmer.
I don't know. I don't golf, but it's some bag. All the equipment you use for golf.
Little head warmers.
And they'll do these little like drops of limited stuff. He'll buy them and then he'll flip it on the back end because everybody that didn't get one wants it.
Oh yeah.
So it's
like one of them like the people that buy the Jordans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my whole point. Is it's like, dude, even if you just like freaking shoes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could figure out how to buy a pair of Jordans and make a little bit of money on it, even if it's just a side thing. It's like when you can get, it's still work. It's always going to be.
I got a buddy that sells vintage caps.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Like
he makes some pretty good money.
There's shit like that everywhere, man. Yeah. And everything. I don't care what you do, man. There's like, so if you are feeling like you're kind of stuck, or like I was saying, you want to kind of make a move, and but your income's not really where you want it to be, or maybe you're making 500 grand a year, but you just hate your fucking job and you're miserable every day.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
You know, maybe work for a couple of years and suck it up and put some money away. And
You
then,
gotta have a goal. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it is like, dude, it's so easy to do stuff now. I mean, you got the internet, you got social media, you got
some people don't even leave the house anymore.
you just gotta like, there's two. You can either build up an audience and then monetize that, or you can create a product and sell something to people. And the product could be anything. It could be information. It could be a course. It could be software. If you're like a real techie dude, it could be a fishing lure, a rod, a freaking jacket, whatever, dude. Ideally, you do both, right? So you have the audience to sell the thing to, and you own the whole deal. Or like you could do a media thing where you're creating
A podcast.
content that people are watching and enjoy, and you do it and you build it up, and and then you monetize that by selling sponsors or by, you know, here's my special code for
Texas beer salt.
Ram G, and then you get a
Salty
percentage
Ram.
of those. Or you even partner with somebody else and start a whole new thing with, and you use your audience.
Or I create my own lures.
Like, yeah, dude.
I'm just kidding.
Come on, dude.
Maybe like a curl tail, but without the garlic.
Come on in, bro. The water's fine. Like, I don't.
And I see that from you that you don't even give a shit if there's other lure companies.
Dude, I've literally.
Right?
I'm kind of hesitant to talk about this too because I don't want to come off like
We'll wait for part 2.
I'm not trying to like make myself sound like anything, but it's like I've had, you know, new lure company guys that are just starting out and whatever come up to me at like shows and shit, and dude, yeah, I'll tell you where I get my molds made, and do you need some help? And hey, try this plastic.
Oh yeah.
Or because like I said, dude, at the end of the day, like if mine isn't the best, then I deserve to not get sold. You know,
Yeah.
If mine is the best, then cool, man. Like, great. That's what the free market's all about. It's like competition and trying to come up with a better product. And at the end of the day, it's better for everybody. It's better for the consumer. It's better for the businesses because they don't get stagnant, you know, and you're constantly kind of on your toes and trying to come up with new stuff and putting out quality products. Because, you know, if you don't, there's always going to be another better quality product that somebody might be cooking up in a garage right now that's going to eat your lunch in 2 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so yeah, that's kind of the attitude I have about it, man. Is I don't really try to compete with anyone. It's just and that was kind of a hard change for me too, because I grew up like playing sports. So I was in football my whole life. I freaking loved.
You play baseball?
No.
No.
I was.
Who are you going for? The Astros or the Rangers?
Dude, I don't even know who's playing. I don't watch sports anymore.
Yeah.
I played baseball for like 1 year. Wasn't really a big fan of it, but I love football. I played basketball. I liked basketball.
This baseball game's for sissies, right? So
oh no, dude! I sucked at it. I was bad. I couldn't hit the ball. I couldn't throw. I couldn't catch.
There's a lot of these guys out here, man.
I ain't that fast, bro. Like, you know, I was an offensive lineman. Dude. I just stood there.
I was built. Look
hit,
at me, guys.
You know?
I'm built to make lures.
But yeah, so I had this real competitive mindset though. It was just like it's us versus them. So when I got into business, it was like I kind of had that same.
And I like that, dude.
Where I didn't really want to like, you know, it's not really a way to compete with anyone though.
Yeah.
Like I've got my thing that I'm putting into the market, and my people are coming to me. I'm not really competing with you. Like, yeah, we both have a soft plastic lure, but unless yours is like a carbon fucking copy of mine, and you're, you know, a 6 foot tall redheaded dude that talks like me. And,
are you 6 foot?
Yeah, 5'11" and 3/4.
Yeah, that makes me like 6
foot. Yeah, you're taller than me, dude.
I'm like the tallest Mexican in this building right now. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
We got Eugene Mora in the house.
I wouldn't take that bet if you tried to make it. Put it that way.
Right.
But yeah, something I kind of had to learn was that it's not really about me versus anyone else. You know, it's just trying to be better than another freaking cliche thing that I hate, but it's just the truth. You know, it's like it's just trying to be better than what you were yesterday.
Right.
Trying to beat the product I put out yesterday. I'm trying to give better service.
Well, you're doing
yesterday.
A hell of a job.
I'm trying to provide more value than I did yesterday, and I don't really care about what anyone else is doing. I mean, there's already 10,000 lure companies out there, and I'm going to find my people, and they're going to freaking throw my shit because they want to, and if they don't, I mean, like I said, that's my whole attitude about it. It's like, I don't. Yeah, there's a dude that does YouTube videos and stuff, and this company came out a couple years ago, and I guess gave him some stuff, and he had been throwing our stuff for a while, and we had actually given him a couple of things, and he was actually like really pushing him, and he did a video with that other guy's stuff, and like I don't care, like cool, dude, you know, that's when people like reach out about it that weren't even like involved in anything. It's like, bro, like what are you gonna do about
just
this? And I was
watch
like,
hawks.
nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Like he wants to throw those baits.
Just go fishing.
Cool, man. You want to make a video? Cool. Like enjoy.
Don't be worrying about everybody.
And yeah, I kind of had to get through that like us versus them thing, and then just kind of turn it around really. And it's just like, yo, this isn't about, you know, taking this guy's business or this guy taking your business, or like the pie is huge, man.
Yeah.
Like there's an infinite amount of people and money out there, and I'm gonna get my chunk, you're gonna get your chunk, and every new company that comes out basically just adds to the pie. Like it doesn't take a piece, they add to it. If that makes sense. And so I think that's kind of the attitude we were talking about, where it's like you don't get to throw anybody else's stuff. You know, I mean, one of my buddies was telling me that this dude got invited to be on a pro thing, and he was using one of his buddies' jig heads. One of his buddies has a little jig head thing, and they wouldn't let him use his jig heads anymore. I was like, well, I'm throwing your lures. Like, yeah, but we have jig heads too. You have to use our jig heads. You can't use his. He's like, well, he's my friend. I'm going to support his business. Yeah. And, you know, fuck.
That's when you got to say, guess what?
Yeah. He just gave him the finger.
See,
yeah. Like, you really? And I hear stuff like that, and that's what it is, man. Just
some people really like need this, man. I think
it feels like
that 10-15% is a big deal to some people.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I've kind of been asked about it a bunch, and I'm kind of like, well, the whole idea was to not have it the other way around, right? And then they're like, well, if you did it the right way, though, and it was like people knew those guys were legit.
Yeah.
You know, those people that were throwing it are like legitimately believing in it, and you're not forcing them to, and you're not expecting them to only throw your shit, and you're not calling them and chewing them out, and they're not turning their nose up at everybody else. And you know, maybe that would be something to put in the works, and actually have some kind of an official program. So it does mean something to people, you know. It's like, hey man, I'm really supporting your brand, da, da, da.
Yeah.
And even if it's like a behind the scenes thing where I'm still, you know, I'm taking care of you, whatever. And it's like, and when I say taking care of you, bro, like nobody just gets free shit. Like that doesn't exist. But, you know, some people do get, you know, bulk discounts if you want to do it, or, you know, whatever, right? But yeah, it's having that official title might mean something and be a way for me to kind of give something back to those guys, you know, on top of just, you know, supporting with the baits and stuff. So, and another thing too that I've thought about is, you know, having like an endorsed guides program, because I think there's a lot of guys that maybe aren't that great that are guiding, you know. Just figured out you could get a license for $1,500 and start charging trips and
start getting free lures right off the bat,
you know, and all they care about is trying to get 300 or 500 or $400 off of people, and they're not really focused on, you know, giving you a really cool experience. And so maybe having like a AM endorsed like guides program or something, or say, hey man, like I'm gonna stand by this guy because I know he's legit. I fished with him, you know. I feel comfortable recommending people. I legitimately, people like in my family and stuff that are coming down and, you know, want to book a trip with somebody or whatever, it's like a couple of guys I might send them to, because like I trust them and understand. And I mean, it's not a lot of people, but
you want them to have a good time too.
Yeah, and it's like, well, maybe something like that would be. It would just have to be like 100% sealed up tight. We're like no bad apples, no BS, no, and people need to understand that it's not just like, dude, I could have 100 fucking pro staffers tomorrow. Like legit.
Oh yeah, dude, for
go
sure.
back and search the term sponsorship in my messages and say yes to every single one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I'm gonna stop you real quick. One sec. We got Eugene Mora in the house.
Oh, what's up, dude? Is he one of the winners?
Not yet.
Oh,
he's part of the
for Eugene.
Royce Pro team here.
There you go.
What can you expect, Eugene, right off the bat for Somebody coming into Roy's
Today or every day? Today's
today.
a little bit different.
Today
Today's
for the
out.
sale.
So the
Speaking to right
sales,
here, right here.
the sales are all over the store, from kayaks, accessories, to clothing, to rods and baits. If you name it, whatever Roy's has, I think 90% of the store is on sale.
Oh yeah.
So you can't miss it.
You gotta get close, man.
If you are coming in for
There you
the
go. There you
hourly
go.
giveaways, it is what is currently 412. You have
Yep.
2 more giveaways, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock too. I thought it ends at 5.
Is it 6 one more?
I'm not sure.
It might be one more.
We'll make it. We'll make one up.
But if I'm mistaken, Michelle will probably make one up. She loves giving stuff away.
Yeah.
They're just showing their customer appreciation for all the years of support from
Right.
everyone, from Corpus to San Antonio and beyond. So you can't miss out by showing up today.
This is the event to be at if you're in Corpus.
Absolutely.
And they are giving away some AM lures.
Way better than the
They got
Buccaneer.
they got a few too. So
They have a few aim lures. I mean, you can count. You need more fingers than there are up in the stage for. the
well,
amount of
I
aim
sent them a
given away.
bunch. I don't know how many got put in the crew pile. You
Yeah.
know, this
Well, we
the
have to do
staff
some
box.
testing. We have to test
Yeah,
some of those.
the product tester
Yeah,
box.
absolutely. But yeah, it's gonna go through tomorrow, and it's a place to be this weekend.
Oh
Seriously.
yeah. Where can we find Eugene Mota on media?
Man, you can find me under Eugene Mora on Facebook and Mora Yak Angler on Instagram.
Man, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Y'all cruise in and come talk to Eugene Mota. He's here to answer any of your fishing questions, and he comes all the way from San Antonio. So he's like a freshwater
It's a crossover
kayak angler extraordinaire.
extraordinaire.
Is that the right one? Where can we find you? AM fishing?
Yeah, it's AM Fishing TX, like Texas. That's Instagram and TikTok. I don't post a lot on TikTok yet, but I'll get on there one of these days.
Right. TikToker?
Yeah, Facebook, it's at AM Fishing 956. That's like the username. That's like the username. Like if you type that in, it's
Okay.
specific to the page.
But it says AM fishing.
But yeah, the page like name is just AM Fishing.
Right.
And yeah, you can.
So
you
you're a
can find it on there.
956er.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Dang, dude.
Born and raised. Pinche puro 956.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the home.
YouTuber?
Oh yeah, got one of those too. Don't I'm working on my content game a little bit, so not a lot on there yet. But yeah, it's at AM Fishing TX.
Okay. You said you were on TikToker as well?
Yeah, so at AM Fishing TX, like Texas, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and then Facebook is at AM Fishing 956. Those are all the usernames.
Okay.
So that'll just take you directly to the page. You'll see the same logo everywhere.
Yeah. I kind of feel like if you go to the search bar and hit AM Fishing,
yeah, I mean,
something's gonna come up.
Yeah, there's a few AM fishing pages out there, but if you see something that's like in like Arabic or something, that's probably.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like
that's
one of
not the-
those like
That's not
like
the right
you
one.
hit that Kim Kardashian, you're gonna get all of them. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot of people that fish, man, across the world.
Right.
You
Let's
look up
give away
AM
something
fishing.
else before we wrap this day up, man, because I got to go to what we call a Cinco Nieta.
Mm.
It's the first one I ever been to. Cinco Nieta. The little girl's turning 5.
5-year-old.
Cinco, right? The little girl's turning 5. But that shows how much 956 you got, right? It's she's turning 5. Happy birthday to her. I'm not sure if it's her birthday today, but I'll be flowing some content here in about a couple hours of that. But we'll be celebrating that. Happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to the Astros. Right?
A lot of birthdays.
Right? Is it their birthday today? I bet you they're celebrating like it was their birthday for that win yesterday.
You could walk that whole team in here, and I couldn't tell you a single.
No, I know there was one real short one. They hit a home run yesterday and saved the whole team. I'm more of a man. I hope I don't lose my sponsorship with Carbach, but I'm more of a Rangers fan. I'm more of a Texas fan, right? As long as my Texas teams win, then we're okay, right? I do lean towards the Rangers a little bit more. You know, I don't know. I might be wearing an Astros cap tonight. I'm not sure. Shout out to both teams. It's a hell of an accomplishment to get to where they're at right now. But let's give something away. Can you reach? How far can we reach?
Got it?
Here, we're gonna give away this.
You want all this stuff?
Yeah, give me those 3. Man, I didn't even know there was stuff behind it. This is one of the Royce packages that was
Got all sorts of.
donated
Yeah, this is some nice stuff.
for a the 50th anniversary
Really had to stretch for that one.
giveaway. We got that cup, right? Roy's
That's not gonna stay there.
Bait and Tackle logoed cup. I'm gonna throw everything over here. We got some Berkeley Cutter 70, right? Pretty cool baits, right? Yozuri, Surface Minnow, Drift Walker by Berkeley. Oh, that's a long top water. Look at that.
Popper.
Right? Look at that hook sticking out. We got a Stinky Pants Stringer, right? Headline sponsor of Spooled Life Live. Stinky Pants Stringer, we're giving it away, right? In red, my favorite color, Cotton Picker Red. We got a Pink Mirror Lure, XL. I wonder if this is the brother to the Soft Dine XL. And if it is the brother, I wonder if it's the older brother or younger brother. Right? And we got a Royce cap, right? Badass looking cap. That's for the 50th anniversary Roy's Bait and Tackle sale. What year did Roy's Bait and Tackle start? Yeah, that's a good one.
And Austin can't win.
Yeah, Austin, you cannot win.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Tattletale.
Yeah,
I know you're gonna try to stick in there.
yeah, I know you might want to put the answer there for everybody. Give everybody a little head start there,
It's a very simple math problem. Yeah.
Yeah, there he goes. He's already got it down. Sorry, Mr. Matthews. You know what? I'm lying. You can win, Austin. I'm gonna give you this one. Since this is Royce, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, Austin rules only for Rams.
Yeah,
stuff.
for Spooled Life Live. Austin Matthews.
Roy's is wide open.
Yeah, Royce is gonna ship this. So I'm gonna send you another additional one. This one is gonna be a Royce cap. And Austin cannot win this one. And a box full of Rapala lures. A Rapala 3700 box. Right? With
It's loaded up with freaking top
this
waters.
box right here is filled
There you go.
with Rapala lures, guy.
I might enter this giveaway.
Man, dude, can you imagine?
That'd look real good on my garage shelf.
Whoever wins this is putting in their 2 weeks notice at work. Guarantee it. What kind of question should we ask? What what could we do? What do you think?
What? Oh, the question for the giveaway?
Yeah.
Shit, dude, I don't know.
Where is Mr. Montgomery from? What city? What city is he from?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we said it a couple of times.
Don't say Dublin.
Nope. Do not say Ireland. Do not say JD Crunch. Should we give it to him?
And I don't know. He's kind of close to home.
Hell, Brownsville, Edinburgh, man, those are all close. Yeah, we'll give it to JD Crunch. Harlingen.
Yeah, JD, you're gonna have to give it to your boy on that one.
Yeah, JD, you cannot be using these Rapala lures. Right?
Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah, don't let me catch you.
Guys, it's been what else do you have, man? For us. Dude, it's been a hell of a show.
I could sit here and talk for 6 hours, dude. But yeah, appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I might have to do a round 2.
We're definitely gonna have to have a part 2, like somewhere else, because they will close the doors on them. And when these guys, we don't pay overtime here. So
oh shit.
You know what I mean? They're out of here.
We gotta go.
6 o'clock, they're out of here.
I thought I was racking up time and a half.
Especially with a day like this, man, because these guys are bowed up. Dude. These guys are helping about every customer in here, whether you have questions of fly fishing. Right now, I see everybody stacked up at the fly fishing.
They got Shimano rep.
Yeah, we got the Sims rep. We got Cole Baker here ready to answer any questions you have fly fishing related. We got the Sims rep here to answer what size waders would fit best for you.
I've been coming here since I was a kid. My grandpa lives in Flower Bluff,
Yeah.
and Roy's was always like,
Oh, really?
part of the grandpa
Man, so
visits.
you're pretty much from Corpus,
And
though.
no, I ain't from Corpus.
No?
No.
Well, you,
I'm from actual South Texas.
I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I've never seen this many people here in my life.
Oh, yeah.
There was
It's the hour, man.
they
As soon as that hour comes up.
I think y'all built a new parking lot in the back just for what's going on today.
Oh, yeah.
This is serious. I'm not kidding about being
Yeah, we got
in a
carts
field. Yeah, they
go
had
into the
right,
back.
They had to off road to come get us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, man.
Dude, it's been a hell of a show,
If you
dude.
got any more questions or anybody does, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, we skipped over your question. I saw some that we skipped over. It wasn't intentional. But if we do have some that they skipped over, if they were towards me, if they were to Mr. Montgomery, we'll go back and answer them properly, right? Thank y'all so much, man. This is our 50th episode, dude. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a lot of episodes.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We wouldn't have made it to 50 if it wasn't for you all. I guarantee it.
There you go.
We'll have our next episode here in a couple weeks. The flyer will go out. I can't give out too much information about it till the flyer comes out. But of course, we'll have a whole bunch of stuff to give away. We'll have some good knowledge coming out of our show as well. Y'all have a safe weekend. Like I said, I'm going to be at a Cinco Nieta, right? So I'm going to go get dressed up in my Sunday's best, right? I might wake up Sunday in it still. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I'll be here tomorrow as well, working the floor here at Roy's Bait and Tackle. Tomorrow is the last day to join the giveaways and to participate in the sales going on. The whole store. Oh no, wait, what did Eugene say? 90% of the store is on sale, right? From kayaks to lures to reels to caps. None of the mounts up there on sale. They've just been looking at me all day. I kind of get nervous when I look over there, you know?
Can't buy the bison.
Yeah, you can't buy the bison. You can't buy the antelope or the ram up there, right? What kind of ram is that? Do you know?
Looks like an Outad.
Outad?
Outad.
Yeah, there you go. One of those.
I got a bunch of freaking African animals over there.
Yeah, they're all from Africa.
Some exotic
Yeah.
kudu looking thing.
It's been a hell of a show, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. One more thing. I want to thank the headline sponsors, of course. Roy's Bait and Tackle, Sarge Custom Rods, Forever Last Gear, Sims Fishing Gear, JRZ Lures, Z Pro Lithium, Stinky Pants Fishing, the Coke Law Firm, in case y'all get in trouble on y'all's way to Corpus, right? Cito Corpus Christi, and Carbog Brewery. Without them, this wouldn't happen either, right? We'll see y'all next time. Wait for the flyer. Whoever won, slide into my DMs. You got 48 hours to slide into my DMs so we could get this stuff shipped out to you. There was a delay. I know everybody's pissed off. There was a delay on last time's giveaways. They were stuck in my wife's trunk. You know, I gotta hire somebody, man. I need to hire a secretary or something, dude.
Don't we all?
You know what I mean? Because this is getting for real, dude. Once you reach 50, they say the hardest time in a podcast live is the first 50 shows. So this should be getting easy.
Second hardest is the next 50.
Yeah, there you go. I'm telling you. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
Coming on the show.
I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you all so much. We'll see y'all next time.
Sweet. Adios.